Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a very special FPL BlackBox because I am joined by the soul of the FPL community. See what I did there? It's Mr. FPL Nightmare. How are you doing, my friend?
No, I'm not so bad. Well, to be honest, if I'm being completely honest, in real life, I'm having one of the worst weeks of my life.
Oh, no.
I'm really struggling, to be honest with you. So if I feel a bit off at times tonight, it's because I'm going through some stuff which I'm not going to talk about because people want to hear FPL stuff. But yeah, it's not good. I'm off work with mental health and emotional stuff. Just, I should be back on Tuesday, but it's not good. I'm not in a good place really. But this is the beauty of FPL. And I've talked about it before. What I like about FPL is it gives me a routine. It helps keep me structured, keeps me focused. And like today, I knew I was coming on the wonderful black box with us, and I thought, how am I meant to go up on screen with such a handsome man when I've got I had a stubbly head, my beard was raggedy, so I dragged myself out of bed, forced myself to use a non-manscaped razor to trim my beard up,
have to get that
shave my head. Nah, there's better than Manscaped. They're not sponsoring tonight, so son
They're not actually. Well, actually, surprise sponsor, Andrew, because they're not. Other Manscaped product, other manscaping products are available, and
I'm not really that good, but we're here. I've got my bright shirt on. I've shaved my head, and we're going to talk stats. We're going to talk facts, and we're going to use FPL to give us some focus and structure and help us through these bad times, because that's what life is. Routine helps with that, and distractions help with that. And there's no greater distraction than the FPL black box. Although you've put Dominic Szoboszlai on the thumbnail, how am I meant to compare to that? First of all, you uploaded a thumbnail with Luke on, so people are already disappointed that he's not here. Then they've got Szoboszlai on the screen, that handsome man, and then they see this big ruggedy thing up on here, and like, what?
Adding to your woes, aren't I, Andrew?
You're just setting me up to fail. Setting me up to fail. Just to the chat, I don't need a load of well wishes. All I need is a distraction, some nice FPL talk, and I just didn't want it to be like a whole stream of, oh, is Nightmare all right? He seems a bit off. I might be a bit off, but if anything's going to perk me up, it's Az Phillips.
Well, I am very sorry to hear that, but we have got quite an interesting show, I think, and I genuinely don't think there's anyone better to be doing this one with me, because I was on your Soul versus Soulio series last season. We talked about how we've fought against the tide of the models and analytics for so long. We both had terrible seasons last year, didn't we? Like, we were battling it out in the 1.5, 1.6 million at one point. I don't think it got a huge amount better for either. What did you finish? About 1 million? Were you about the same as me?
1.3 million.
Oh, I did
Don't take my 300k away from me.
I did beat you in the end. That's good.
So you were the benchmark when I was in the shed.
Yeah.
You were the benchmark for how bad things were, that I was even beaten by you.
I remember the stream where you said that, and I was like, right, I've got to win this. I've got to win this now. So we are not, in terms of rank, we are not the best equipped people to be talking about stats and advice, but we do have the experience of getting more involved in the models and the analytics side of FPL sort of towards the midpoint of last season. And Andrew, I've been on a deep dive. I've been on the deepest, darkest dive into the analytics world, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of the findings with you today.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm starting to find these analytics quite sexy, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm getting quite into them, I'm in the Soulio Discord.
Yeah.
And, I'm talking to them all, and everyone knows how much I love trout. And,
The fish or the FPL guru?
Oh, I could never eat fish. No, the FPL guru, the man who, builds Soulio, he's one of the creators. I find Soulio really quite punk. And I am a punk, and they are like FPL people that have built this, like individuals that have built this. I've been told not to advertise it too much, but I'm a big fan of the people, and because I like the people, I want them to like me. So I'm trying to learn the program, but also I want to be the best FPL manager I can be, and we have to accept that we need to embrace these models For me, it's Soulio. For you, it's obviously Fantasy Football Scout. Their projections. For other people might have other inferior preferences, and
Well
you
said.
know, and this is what it's all about. This is what it's about tonight. It's what it's about this season, becoming the best managers we can be. Because we have got some mockery over the last year.
Oh, yes, we do.
For you, you've been Yellen has thrashed you 3 seasons running now, 4 seasons
Four
running.
seasons running.
It has to be the redemption year for both of us. It just has to be, and
Yep.
the analytics are going to take us there. We will sell our soul for that top 10k finish.
Have you been using many of the models? I mean, obviously you talked about Soda. Have you been using the models to help you with your team so far, or have you gone on more of a sort of a vibes approach with the current draft?
Well, one thing I've been using a lot of early doors actually is Alex Volo's nextxi.app website. It's just for the stats and stuff. What I'm trying to do is incorporate the data without depending on the solver, if that makes sense. I want like the solver to be a benchmark so I'll run the projection, see what they say. 19 game weeks, going to be this amount of points. Then I put my draft in, and I run. I put my moves, my chip strategy, and everything, and I see how close it is. The first one I did, and was about 150 points off, and I thought, right, this is wrong. I'm missing something here, because that's a big discrepancy. So I've been refining it, and like my current draft is about 30 points, projected points off the solver's, the best strategy the solver can produce. At 30 points over 19 game weeks is nothing, really. That's a captaincy. And I am going to, this is how I want to use them. It's not about copying. A lot of people think it's about copying. For me, it's about refining and learning and improving. I can be the maverick I want to be, but better. And I think that's what Luke was trying to talk to you about around December time, wasn't it?
And Trout is really good at it as well, because if you think about him, if you haven't checked out Trout on YouTube, watch his analytics videos, because he was talking last year about he went Haaland, didn't he? Haaland and double Arsenal defence, I think, at the start of the season, and he was looking at the solvers and seeing, okay, no one's got Arsenal defence, no one's got Haaland, but actually the predicted points is close, and there's a lot more variance that you could get with these options. So he went for those. Obviously got off to a great start in the season. Everyone ignored Arsenal, everyone ignored Haaland, and look what happened with Salah. So you can use them definitely to your advantage, and they just give you that little bit of an extra edge. I have already made some changes to my team based on what I'm going to be talking about today, and exactly like you, they're refinements, right? They're not like, I haven't completely gutted the whole team and just picked the team that I'm going to show the models are talking about. It's more about what players around the edge, what fringe players, how can it help you with rotating 4.5 options, can it help you with goalkeepers, can it help you with cheap defenders? It's that sort of thing where it can just give you that little bit of an extra edge. So, yeah, we're going to talk about it in just a sec. You've already touched on them. I do want to mention Scout. They obviously are sponsoring BlackBox again this season, and thank you to all the team for that. They will be heavily involved in all the stuff we're talking about at the moment. Scout was the first company under Mark to do Rate My Team and projected points, as far as I'm aware. Obviously, now there's lots of places doing it. If anyone knows Midnight Mule, on Twitter, Midnight Mule did some independent analysis of the projections, and he actually found that in a sort of a shorter period, so a 6 to 8 week period, which is exactly what we've been talking about today, the first 6 weeks, Scout came as top. So beat Soulio for those kind of smaller windows, and it still ranked really well sort of over the season and things like that. So over sort of 6 to 8 weeks, Scout actually excels in this kind of area. So when you're building a team and looking, we're all going to be wildcarding realistically, aren't we, between game weeks 4 and 9, like we do every bloody year? No,
of course game week 17.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course, we'll all make it to game week 17. And yeah, so have a look at if you've never used Rate My Team on Scout, go check it out. It's obviously 7 days to go. There's still the offer on for the Chief Scout. That's ending soon. I think it's £50 for the year. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen, and yeah, all the articles and tools and everything you need to have a good season is right there. And I definitely need to start using them a little bit more. Okay, let me give you a little bit of an intro to what we're doing today, Andrew, because you're going into this a bit blind, because I haven't really given you much, and I thought that was a nice way to play it. what I've done is I've gone to Review, I've gone to Soulio, I've gone on to Scout, and there's a friend of the show called FPL Apocalypse who has his own projections, basically his own projected points, and every year he compares his projections to Review and things like that, and he stacks up really, really well. And he's a well-known guy in the analytics community who, he's not a company, he's just a guy who likes playing around with data and spreadsheets and things like that. And he's built a sort of model which he doesn't make available to everyone, but he's been very kind to share it with me, that is very, very effective. So what I've done is I've taken 6 game weeks of data from all 4 of these amazing models, all the projected points, and I've combined them into one, basically. So that's sort of an aggregated model score. Loads of cool things you can do with that. The first one is you can see which players basically on average are projected to get the highest points over the season. We can break it down by differentials because we've got obviously the ownership stats. We can look at value, so we can see which players are going to return the most bang for their buck. We can also look at standard deviations as well. So a player might have high projected points but have quite a high standard deviation, which means that different models are sort of predicting different points. So even though their average is high, Soulio might be saying they're going to be the top scorer, and Review might be sort of 5th, 6th place. Whereas if you've got a player with a low standard deviation, they're going to be very much clustered around the same number of points. So you can be pretty safe that they're going to get in and around those points if all goes well. So we'll sort through that as we go. I will mention, because obviously Kieran is in the chat, he is the brains behind the FPL BlackBox website. We do have our own expected points on the BlackBox Patreon now as well. I did a lot of analysis. I did originally include it as one of the 5 feeding into this general model. The only thing is there was more outliers on the BlackBox model than some of the others. It's a bit more outlandish with some of its picks compared to quite a consistent set from the others. Exactly. It's very much my own sort of, mine and Kieran's sort of brainchild. It just felt a little bit too outliery to include, but if you sign up to the Patreon, you can obviously get access to that, and I'll be posting some stuff.
You're always shilling us, always.
Only
save the good times, stuff for behind the paywall.
3 times this stream so far.
Onlyfans.com/blackbox.
That is coming, yeah. God, it's hot enough to take this bloody thing off. But that's been fun as well. It's been fun actually getting involved in seeing how projected points work and working on those models and things like that. So yeah, it's been really interesting. A few things to call out, which you and I were talking about a bit earlier. Models take a while to adapt to new things. There is a lot of transition, right, in the league this year. You would know, being a Newcastle fan, that it's probably not going to be quite the same this year for certain teams. I think probably Newcastle are the number 1 transitional team, right? Because it's a new manager, you've lost half your squads, and you've recruited a load of really young, talented players. But
well, I mean, we can get into a debate about this. I think there's quite a few teams. I think Fulham are in a very similar position, and I think Man City, like they have lost an iconic manager who has set a standard for such a long time. You'd think Maresca a bit of a continuity candidate, but at the same time, it is a big drop off if they have a bad result. People naturally think, oh, it was better when Pep was here, and so that could be Arsenal as well. Like, they should be great. They're the champions, but they've had that first major success after years and years of failure. Now they've had it. Do they have the same hunger to go again, especially without Saliba for a long time? But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at Liverpool as well, look, everyone's excited about Liverpool, Iraola, and all that. But like, for me, I just keep thinking, he's unproven at that sort of level. He's unproven at that sort of standard, and we assume he'll do well, but we don't know. It is a huge step up in expectancy.
Absolutely.
And, even like the European football playing twice a week, Eddie Howe at Newcastle always struggled with the twice a week thing when he's had a week. In a season when there was no Europe, Eddie Howe was great. The season where we had Europe, it just went down the pan because he couldn't adapt to that twice weekly rotation. So there's a lot of questions. Yes.
Yes. Well, producer
Yes,
says...
I just started realising I was rambling a little bit, so I just cut it short with a yes.
I thought you were saying yes to the comment. I was about to comment on the screen. Iriola could have been sacked after 10 game weeks when he started at Bournemouth. He's laughed about it, hasn't he? He said like he was probably one bad result away from going. I mean, even teams like Palace, losing Glasner. Bournemouth have got a new manager. I mean, we've spoken. I mean, there's so many new managers to the league. So do bear that in mind. When we're talking about these things, models do use historical data. They take a while to sort of catch up to new things and the things that are changing. And we talked about using that to our advantage in the past. Like if everyone's picking a model and you can go against some of those picks if you think things are going to be different. So if you think Liverpool are really going to struggle to score goals and defend, and the model tells you to pick all their players, you don't have to. It's that might be a way in which you get that edge. Models do weigh expected minutes and penalties incredibly heavily. I mean, for good reason, right? Luke says it all the time. Your player needs to be on the pitch to score goals. Players that get 60, 70-minute subs, they get much, much lower points than those who are playing 90 minutes regularly. Set pieces are weighted high, but penalties are an absolute key. If a player has penalties, these models will rate them highly. Like it's as simple as that. And
Illiman and Jai.
Well, exactly.
4 goals, 2 assists last season,
exactly. And we'll see
he's 5 points a game or something.
Exactly, very, very, very high up. It doesn't matter who they are. Like Isendai is like a sort of an attacking winger. I mean, even a player like Pascal Gross or Milivojevic of all the seasons ago, like deep lying players, they will still be right up there in the projected points just because they could effectively get a pen a game and do quite well.
Give me James Garner over Jai any day.
He's injured, isn't he, for the first few? It's a shame.
He still might end up in my squad
Really?
yet, maybe,
Yeah.
But he's not in there at the minute. But we'll get to that later, hopefully.
Models are pretty conservative by their nature. If you look, I've always enjoyed a really flashy punt on a wing back or someone like that. I mean, the one that always comes to mind for me is Palestra this season. He's someone that I think is going to be really exciting. If he's playing wing back for Chelsea, could be a great option. There is absolutely no way a model is going to put Palestra anywhere near the top of its projected points because the minutes are risky, his position's like at risk. There's defcons for other players, and then it prefers the consistency and the boring picks. So you might want to have a couple of those players in your team and and have a bit of fun, but don't expect the models to agree that you're doing that. And then the final one is that players playing out of position or starting because of injuries. They tend to be a bit likely to be ignored. I mean, a player like Mascara or Calafiori probably do quite well because we know that Saliba's going to be out for a while. Sunderland are a good example of this. So Hume, for example, he isn't showing up too highly on the models, but
because he's not a good pick
could be playing on the wing.
He's played on the wing. He might get a goal. He played on the wing 11 times last season and scored once. But get carried away by pre-season and his one goal. You're
gonna love my team later.
Give me Big Dan Ballard over Tri Hume any day. He's worth $500,000.
You should see my other Sunderland defender who also isn't Ballard.
I really wanted Mukiele, but
yeah, he's out for game week 1, we think, isn't he?
You've surely not got 09 in there.
Well, you have to wait and see, won't you?
Oh my God! This is meant to be a season of redemption, and you've got double Sunderland defence.
You're gonna have to wait to see.
Oh my God!
Okay,
I can't believe I'm associating myself with this. Like,
just wait. Right.
It's all right because Andy Soulio here can talk you out of it and get you some sensible picks.
I'll do one more shilling, which isn't actually a paid endorsement, but that is for the Planet FPL Correspondence Week. If you haven't been listening to those, make sure you listen to them. They are genuinely crucial, I think, this season, because James has got such good knowledge about everything. He goes on 20 podcasts over 2 weeks, talks to a fan from every single club in the Premier League, and the things you learn about these teams are really interesting. And Hume and 09 were two that I heard about on the Sunderland on Sunderland pod. So right. There's some reasons for it, but yeah, you're always going to be biased against Sunderland anyway. So it's not even.
There's no greater fan in FPL of Nordi Mukiele than me.
True. Yeah, you were the Mukiele fanboy, weren't you?
He was the only dryad last season. That's the worst thing about it. Bloody Sunderland giving me joy. Like, what has this game reduced me to?
You wait till you see the other option to Hume that the models really like. I see what you make of those. Anyway, right, that's enough. That's enough of that. Let's get into some actual data. So, as I mentioned, this is the aggregated scores from all 4 of those amazing models, and this is the simplest one, right? This is just the top 20 expected point scorers over the first 6 weeks. So no surprise who the top 2 are. It's Haaland at the top with 37 averaged, a standard deviation of 1.86, which is on the higher end, but he's got so many points. It's, it doesn't matter what all the models have him as top. It's just how many points he's going to get. Really, over that. And look at that, 73% ownership. Whew.
I will be honest, I don't have a clue what standard deviation means. Is that kind of like it's within?
Well, I did explain it.
I know you did explain it, but some of us are too cool to get into these weeds.
It basically just means that when you've got an average of like multiple sources going into something, you've got a mean, right? So the average,
right?
Of
I see what you
data.
mean. Yeah.
The standard deviation is just how much it changes from that mean.
Not all of us have PhDs.
I'm not.
Some of us only have. Some of us are only bachelors.
The reason I've included it is because of someone like Palmer. So Palmer's a good example, right? So he's 3rd on the list, expected points of 32.9. He has a standard deviation of 3.79. So the models are much less consistent in how many points they're giving Palmer. Some are going up to sort of 35, 36, actually putting him close to Fernandez in second. Others are putting him down to sort of 29, which is in line with like Mbumo and Gabriel. So it's a bit of a risk. The models do like Palmer though a lot, and we'll see when we look at some of the predicted teams, some of the optimal teams. Haaland isn't in them, and Palmer is. So I don't know about you, but I haven't seen Palmer in many teams since the start of pre-season.
Do you want me to comment on that? No, yes. This is why you can't trust models 100%, because they do stupid things like tell you it's optimal to go without the best captain in like 10 of the first 19 game weeks. It's optimal to have Cole Palmer. Like, did you see his heat map the other day? He was as deep as Caicedo and Lavia in midfield. You're basically paying £9.5 million for that Milivojevic from Crystal Palace. He sits deep, plays a few passes,
John
gets
Penn's
penalties. Yeah, but at least Milivojevic was fit. Palmer, everyone's hyped about Palmer for game week 4. What they're going to do when he gets a random twinge doesn't show up.
Well, that's what put me off. I had him in my team actually until that pre-season game when he felt something, didn't he? And he didn't play in that match. And I thought there's still something not quite right with him.
I think what we have to maybe consider is that his outstanding season was the outlier. And I feel like a lot of people, like, the evidence is more that he's not got the fitness. He's a Darren Anderton. If you remember, for the older crowd, Darren Anderton was known as sick note.
Yeah. Great
potential, but never was fit enough to demonstrate it. And, it's a big season for Palmer because he's underperformed last year. And, like, fair enough, his expected stats were quite good, but, like, there's a lot of expectancy on him, and he's just not there, is he?
Well, the other interesting one is the guy in 4th, and that's Isak. So he is also projected very, very, very highly, 30.4 expected points. Standard
What's that, minutes?
1.6.
Minutes a match?
Yeah, well, I was so the black box model, for example, which I'm going to mention a couple of times, had Isak incredibly low compared to the others. And when I spoke to Kieran about it and we chatted about it, we were like, do you know what? I don't even think we need to change that. I'm not convinced that Isak is going to be able to play anywhere near as many minutes as some of these models are suggesting.
I think the real problem that Isak has is he's still coming back from quite a serious injury. He was out for a long time, and now he's expected to play, every minute almost. I know they say, he's going to get subbed off early, but you've got a new manager under a lot of pressure. It's a big call to take off your best striker, and there's no cover because Ekitike is out for so long. And if he gets going, Isak will be perfect for Iraola because it's the same sort of Eddie Howe style football, very similar, and I think Isak will fit like a dream. But will he stay fit? Will he? He's never been the most robust player, and now he's had a long a long time out. But at the same time, Liverpool, they've lost Mo Salah. They've lost that iconic talisman. They need a new one. And, you know, he's got Szoboszlai a bit deeper, Wirtz playing off him. I mean, he couldn't ask for a better platform, Isak, to show his class. And as much as he's banned from my FPL team, I couldn't. Like, I went to Murrayfield on Wednesday and watched Newcastle and Everton, and we were not there. Like, Isak could have a field day on that first day, and it's a worry. You know, I'm kind of hoping Joe Linton just goes through him in the first minute, and that's, you know, just rules that out. You know, whatever happens after, if, you know. But
you're not supposed to say things like that, Andrew. We'll get in trouble for inciting, you know,
I'm not
violence.
Inciting violence. I'm saying get him in your teams, please do, because then when he does get injured, it'll be advantage me.
I mean, he is going to get injured, isn't he, at some point? And Liverpool are in big trouble if anything does happen to him, because with Ekitike out, they're so light across the pitch. I was talking to Lee from FPL Family. They came down to Brighton at the weekend, and he was just saying he's so worried about this season, because if they get an injury to an Isak or a Szoboszlai, I mean, the Wirtz, you know, who comes in? They haven't got any options on the bench. They haven't made any real signings.
They're talking about selling Gakpo as well, and he's probably the cover.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's just very strange goings on. But they've lost their director of transfers or what have you, haven't they? Is it Richard Hughes or something? Michael Edwards, one of the two. The person in charge of their transfers has left, and you can see from their window that they're really missing someone to do that role. Like last year, Newcastle had no one because that Paul Mitchell went at the start of the window, and then Eddie Howe was trying to do it all, and, you know, we ended up with the players we ended up with. Voltemada, you know, a slow, ambling, lanky striker for a manager who needs a fast, powerful, high-paced striker. You know, it's just panic signings, and that's what Liverpool are on the verge of. They're sleepwalking into a panic signing last week of the window. And
absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, some of the other players, I mean, you know, won't surprise anyone. And Gabriel's in fifth. I mean, the models are very, very consistent with his expected points. They're very high. You'll notice there's no Calafiore or Mosquera or anyone like that. It's like the models think Gabriel is worth the cash, basically. He's one of very few defenders sort of on this list. It's mostly midfielders. There's actually only 2 defenders in the top 20, which are Van Dijk in 16th and Gabriel in 5th. So,
put some respect on James Tarkowski's name in 18th.
Oh, James Tarkowski is there in 18th. Actually, we've got a whole thing about him coming up. So, yeah, sorry, James Tarkowski is there in 18th. Someone in the chat's already said that he thinks he's going to be in your team, but I don't think he is, right?
Oh, he's the one out of ones.
Yeah.
To get a bit greasy.
Well, we're
although not as greasy as we are in this heat.
I am. But
we're like Twilight vampires. Look at the shine.
Absolutely terrible. I've changed my lighting a bit. I'm less shiny than I was 10 minutes ago. Tarkowski native also with a very low. The defenders and goalkeepers, the models are very consistent on them. So Ray is the only goalkeeper on this list. He's in 20th. But yeah, it's those two and Ray really in kind of your defence and goal. You've got Mbeumo in 6th. You've got Szoboszlai in 7th for poster boy for the episode. Florian Wirtz just behind him in 8th. There's nothing to suggest from the model that he's worth the extra 0.5, but there's also nothing to suggest that the 14% Wirtz compared to the 43% Szoboszlai is a terrible gamble if you want to take on, you know, like a very, very highly owned player. I'm oohing and ahhing between them. I think I need that point. If they were the same price, I think I'd probably lean towards Wirtz, but for 0.5 more, probably just keep it safe.
What I would say is all of you cowards on the early wild card who don't have the cojones to go to wildcard 17, the true strategy, the correct strategy, all of you early wildcarders, you might as well go for Wirtz, because if it goes wrong, you can wildcard him out and get Szoboszlai in, you know, go attack that Ipswich fixture in game week 3, I think, find out who is on penalties, because if Szoboszlai is on penalties, you'll find out in the first 5 weeks, most likely, and you'll probably only lose a goal. And Wirtz could match it anyway because, you know, he's playing so much more advanced. So why not take a gamble like that for a few weeks and then fix it on wildcard when you realise your
Yeah.
mistake.
Yep. I guess the worry with Wirtz, though, is he was so bad last season. And I know everyone's really excited about the fact he's playing closer to Isak and in a 10 and in a more natural position. But does he have the physicality to succeed in the league against a Joe Linton, for example?
Well,
is a very good comparison, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is it. He's looked good in pre-season, but the intensity is a lot less in pre-season when it comes to that Newcastle game is going to be. It's going to be a powder keg. You've got Isak returning. You've got it's Newcastle-Liverpool, which is always an intense game. And it's, the first game at St James's Park, first league game since Kevin Keegan's passing, the wonderful Kevin Keegan, such a hero of mine.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And a hero of the Newcastle fans, of the Liverpool fans. There's going to be tributes before the game, and then Isak's going to come on the pitch, and it's going to be emotional. It's going to be volatile. In all the ways we love about football, and it's going to be intense. And Wirtz has the class to handle that, and Newcastle have, we've brought in a load of kids, really.
The frailties to allow him to flourish, shall we say?
But as it stands, although we haven't seen this Newcastle with Big Dan Burn back in the team, but. I mean, I wouldn't be playing Joe Linton, to be honest. I don't think he's good enough anymore. But the problem is I don't think any of Newcastle's midfield are really there. So I feel like it's a worthy gamble. If I was on an early wild card, I'd probably take on that expected ownership. Because you're not good. If you do lose out, it's not going to be by much. And this is what I'm learning about the analytics and stuff. It's about looking for the opportunities. Like, one thing with the analytics and the models in the chip strategies, they're very keen on stacking. So, like, if you're on a free hit, don't just get one defender from a team. Go for all three. Johnny Spaceman from Soulio, Johnny JC, last year famously free hit in game week 22 or 23. And he brought in triple Brentford defence, got 42 points. Kelleher, penalty save, Lewis Potter, 2 goals, and a clean sheet for Collins. And that's... 42 points off 3 players. That, and Trout as well is very much it's about using the chips as the differential almost, rather than looking for players. But if you're going to wildcard in a few weeks, then you can take a few of these chances on players like Wirtz over Szoboszlai. Man United have got a few attackers you could probably take on. Stuff like that. It's worth it, I think, but I won't be doing it.
I mean, if you look at the difference between sort of Fernandez's projected points and Mbumo's, for example, or, Cunha's not even in the top 20, that's where maybe it's a bit... This is where this sort of thing is useful, because you can say, okay, it looks like Fernandez is worth that money, and you might captain him in a couple of games, and that obviously adds to his value. Whereas Wirtz and Szoboszlai is basically identical, and if anything, Szoboszlai could be overrated by the models, right? Because they might not have him playing quite as deep as we've seen him in pre-season. We don't know if he's actually going to have pens. He might, at best he might have at best he has them, or he's got a pen share, or he hasn't got them at all, and Isak takes them all. So there's definitely some uncertainties around that.
Like, what we have to remember is that Szoboszlai, really good and whatnot, but he finished about a point ahead of James Garner from Everton, who's £1 million cheaper. So maybe start with Szoboszlai, and then on your wild card, do the right thing and get James Garner. I don't know why I'm so hot on Garner.
Going from one boring option to another. I like it.
There's nothing boring about Garner. He's a ballsy differential. The boring pick is Unshai.
He's so boring that he's interesting. Is that what you're saying?
No, but I do think Szoboszlai, like Chewy FPL, did some research and on Twitter, and it's really good, and it was quite eye opening that of all the DEFCONs that Szoboszlai hit last season, I think he only got 3 hit DEFCON 3 times without playing at right back at some point in the game. So if you play central midfield all the time, you're not really going to get the DEFCONs. Direct free kicks are hard to replicate. Is he going to get the assists, or is he going to be the pre-assister? And he might not even be on penalties, so he could be a bit of a disaster, And when you think of it like that, Wirtz, of course, as well, taking corners in pre-season.
Well, whenever I mention that about Szoboszlai, I get absolutely slated from the rooftops for daring to go against the model's darling. So I'm glad to hear someone else Here's someone else saying it.
Oh, he's in my team.
Yeah, he's in my
He's in my team, like placeholder for James Garner.
Yeah, well, we all need one. We've got Saka in 9th. Obviously, there's quite a high standard deviation here, but that's probably because of the minutes. There's a bit of uncertainty whether he's going to start and when he's going to be back and fully fit. João Pedro, 56% owned. He's in 10th. And I'll just read off the 11 to 20 a bit quicker because there's loads of other stuff I want to talk about. Gibbs White 11th. Ismaila Sarr is 12th. That is one to remember because we're going to keep coming back to him a couple of times. The models really, really like Sarr. Watkins in 13th. Thiago in 14th. So two sort of mid-price strikers in 13th, 14th. Semenyo in 15th. Van Dijk in 16th, Dewsbury Hall in 17th, Tarkovsky, your boy, in 18th, the boring Njai in 19th, and then David Raya in 20th. I mean, there's not a huge amount of difference between, let's say, 14th and 20th, right? That's sort of 24.1 to 26 expected points. There's not a huge amount in that sort of over 6 weeks. So you could argue that any of those players are decent picks and kind of in and around the same. But it's really those sort of 5 main ones that the models do really like, and that's Haaland, Fernandes, Palmer, Isak, and Gabriel. So it's what combination can you make out of those to still maximise the rest of your side. I've spoken to Luke about this quite a few times. We think we have a pool of, I think it's 667 players in FPL in total.
One too many.
Well, yeah, it could be the devil's number, but it's not. Actually, in reality, when you look at the models, it's about 65 players that reasonably we should be considering. There's obviously I mentioned Palestra again. You could take a punt on Palestra and hope he does well, but you would probably count him in that. But the game is evolving in a way where those risks are becoming more and more risky. You get punished.
I can't believe I'm seeing Frimpong in that Liverpool one.
Well, this is the list,
one of the worst shouts I've ever seen. The bloke's always injured. He's got no DEFCONs. He's no real position. Like they don't know whether they're playing him centre back, right back, or right wing, and he's never fit.
There are some surprises here. There are some surprises. So what I've done is I've taken all of the players.
You might say surprises. Some of us would say nonsense.
Look at some of the Villa ones.
John McGinn.
You've
already put him in there for Jelena.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
If I put him on, please don't beat me this season.
I couldn't stretch you a Chris Wood for her, given he's injured, but McGinn's in there. So this list and kind of the next show I'm going to show, this is all the players that are projected over 20 points over the first 6 weeks. Once you start going down to like 16, 17, 18 projected points, you are looking at some pretty dodgy picks. So there has to be a cut-off kind of somewhere. It ends up around 67 players, like I said. So Gabriel, Saka, Mosquera, Calafiori, Rice, Odegaard from Arsenal. Don't think there's kind of too many surprises there. Notice no Ben White. Models don't really like Ben White, even though there's not really any competition there for him. They're still a bit shaky on his minutes, maybe compared to some of the others. City, you've got Haaland, Semenyo, Anderson, Foden. He makes it. Vardiol and Nunez. Notice no O'Reilly. Again, minutes are a problem, potentially. We'll see what happens, at the start of the season, what news we get, but at the moment he's not there. Liverpool have got the joint most with those teams, so that's Isak, Szoboszlai, Wirtz, Van Dijk, Gakpo is there, your utility man.
He's a good player. He'll have minutes up front if he stays.
And Frimpong.
And if he goes to Spurs, he's probably going to get more points because he'll be the only striker.
Yeah. Bournemouth, Tavernier, Scott, Ryan, Hill, Evan Nilsson. No Truffaut.
I strongly disagree.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised at that, given that he was one of the best value picks of the. I think he was the best value pick of the season last year. Palace, you've got Sarr, Canvo, who we're going to be talking about in a bit. Munoz, Richards, and Wharton just about makes it in with the DEFCON. And Villa, you've got Watkins, Maatson. Now he also is going to be someone that we talk about in a bit. Buendia and McGinn, which I think Buendia's got the pen share at the moment. God knows what McGinn's doing in there. No, let's be honest. I think if you're picking McGinn, something's probably gone a bit wrong. Then for Everton, you've got Dewsbury Hall, Tarkovsky, Njai, and Branthwaite. Manchester United, you've got Bruno Fernandes, Mbeumo, Cunha, who is about 5 points less projected than Mbeumo. So at the same price, that is a big difference between them. So he clearly is the favourite.
I would say that's got to be a minute sting because Cunha has beaten Mbeumo. Since Carrick took over, Cunha's matched him for assists, he's beaten for goals, and also Mbeumo has only finished 90 minutes twice under Carrick, whereas Cunha's done it 6 times. So, like for me, if all things were equal, Cunha's clearly the one. But I mean, the problem is he plays on the left. You've got Rashford there, you've got Dorgu there, and you know the World Cup factor as well. And Mbeumo obviously not at the World Cup, but yeah, I mean.
A lot have got him. A lot have got Cunha. I've seen it in quite a few teams. Brentford, you've got Thiago, Dango, Collins, and Sharda. Just about creeps in Sharda. Chelsea. Now Chelsea's an interesting one because Chelsea is very divisive on the models. They are the most divisive team. Actually, if we look at the disagreements one here, where the models disagree, Chelsea are top. There's the biggest deviation between those projected points across the 4 models, with Rodgers the poster boy for that. The models cannot agree how many points Rodgers is going to get, and he is very highly owned in this game. My strong recommendation for people is not to be picking him based on this data. It's the highest standard deviation of all players that I looked at. Morgan Rodgers. Have you any consideration for him?
No, absolutely none. After the run I had with him last season, I had him for about 12 game weeks. I benched him for about 4 of them, and you can guess which are the ones he got the points in. You know, he's a player I don't want anywhere near my team. People talk about, analytics are boring, all these, James Garner's boring. Well, give me Garner in his steady 4 points over Morgan Rodgers, feast or famine approach any day, because at least I'm not sat there getting stressed about Garner every week, Morgan Rodgers is just a source of frustration.
Yep.
And for me, FPL is a lot about emotional management as well as team management. And, Morgan Rodgers will give you great highs, but he will just give you more extreme emotional responses. And you don't need that from every player in your team. Let me save that for the captaincy and stuff. And let me
Trigger
have a
wants
nice
him.
Garner. Well, you know what Trigger wants. Trigger does want a good Roger in. Handing off, shout out.
He won't like that. He won't like that. That's smart to Trigger. He's very, very negative about these things. Some of the other disagreements for some of the other teams, I mean, like I said, it's a big drop-off from those. I mean, you've got Arsenal with Ben White. You've got Newcastle with Voltemada. Where's he going to play? And is his confidence just shot?
He should be playing in a different country because he's not cut out for the Premier League. I don't rate him. I don't. And I feel like he's trying a bit harder, but he's just not. I don't see it. I just don't. And, he's had a few nice finishes early doors, but I just, if we could get some decent money back for him, I'd sell him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I would swap him with Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea without even thinking. He's just not a Premier League player.
It's a shame because he started off so strong, didn't he? When he first came into the league, he looked like he really had something about him, and it just hasn't continued at all. And whenever I speak to Newcastle fans, I was listening to the correspondent pod with a Newcastle fan today, and he's exactly the same as you. Like, just get rid of him. Give him give him 6 weeks to see if he's learned anything over the summer, and if he hasn't, then he needs to be gone.
Well, he just doesn't do anything. He gets in good positions, but then he doesn't take the shot. He doesn't make the runs. He's 6'7", and he can't header a football. He's massive, but he's got no physicality about him. He's got no pace. He's just there. Like people saying, play him in the 10, but he doesn't.
He's
find
been a
his killer
hideous 10.
balls.
He's been a hideous 10 whenever I've seen him play there. You've then got Man United with Lisandro Martinez. I mean, there's some. I mean, De Ligt's back now, isn't he? And who's going to actually play in that kind of centre back position? Garcia is an interesting one. He's the middle model's very conflicted on Garcia. We don't know that he's definitely got the pens. We think he has, but we're not 100% sure. Obviously, they've got what's his name there? Who everyone that Fulham hates. Who's the other striker? Not Jimenez, the other one. Muniz. Thank you. My mind went blank. Fulham fans don't seem to rate him at all, and we don't think he's going to start. But again, he might take some minutes off Garcia. And then look at some of the other ones. I mean, like Coventry, Palace, Spurs, Everton, and Ipswich, and some of the big ones there are like Grimes, Tomiyasu, Kudus. Not really ones that we're going to be considering. So it kind of really does show that Chelsea are the ones where the model is struggling the most. Going back to the best picks by team, we have Forest with Gibbs White, Williams, and Murillo. So interesting, Murillo's ahead of like Milenkovic, for example. Not a huge amount of options from there, but you know, at least you've got different options, different price points you can go to. And then Sunderland, you've got Lefay, Ballard, and Brobby. So my mate Hume doesn't make the list. So what the hell is he doing in my team? I'll explain later. Go away, Trigger Lips. And then finally, to finish this off, we have Calvert-Lewin for Leeds with Wilson and Stack. Brighton with Grosh and Hinshelwood. Spurs with Fernandez and Porro. And then really down the basement, really. Fulham with Iwobi, Hull with McBurney. Newcastle, one player from Newcastle, Andrew, with a projected points of over 20, and that is Chow, who the models love. They still love Chow.
I don't rate him either. I think he's a very average defender who's got a lot of pace and kind of makes up for it. But like you see Newcastle fans talk about him being like a top class defender, and he really isn't. He's just fast. I don't rate him. I don't rate him from an FPL perspective. I did think Lewis Hall might be the one because I thought he might take over set pieces, like the corners, free kicks and stuff. But then in pre-season, it's been Alanga taking all the corners from both sides. So that's kind of put the kibosh on that plan. I would just stay away. I mean, if Osula starts... If Osula's the main man, and I also wouldn't rule out Wissa either. But the problem is minutes. Who's going to play? Who's going to get the minutes? And it's just not worth starting with.
What about Barnes? Says Stephen GV.
He's Newcastle's best goal scorer, but Newcastle's best player in pre-season has probably been Bazamana Torre, who plays in the same position. So I think you're going to get minutes share there, and.
But that's why he's not. That's why he's not featuring, right? Like a fully fit Barnes with that nailed down is probably clearing 20 points with some of the fixtures you've got over the first 6. But no guarantee he's going to start every game.
No, that's the problem with him. But I mean, he has signed a new contract. If he gets a run, he's a good player. Good. Well, he's not a good player. He's a good finisher. He's a very average player, really. People think he's better than he is. He's like a poacher who plays left wing.
Yeah.
Like if you stick Inzaghi on Filippo Inzaghi on the wing. Brennan Johnson doesn't score goals.
Well, no, he's like Brennan but scores more goals. Good question from Top Mark. So Top Mark says, why are we placing so much weight on the models before a ball of the new season even been kicked? You do know that it's a person manipulating the weights and minutes they think for a player. Well, that's why we've got 4 of them involved in this model. So to get away from some of that bias that some people might have when they're setting things up. Secondly, if you want a purely vibes podcast, have a look at the last stream me and Andy did on the tier list. No, sorry, Luke and I did on the tier list, which was purely us talking about vibes. This is just another way to look and talk about some players that the stats and the analytics group favour. I mean, the third thing to say, Andy, is as we both know, the analytics group does incredibly well season after season. The top 1,000 analytics managers versus the top is it Elite 64 analytics and Elite 64 like regular Joes? I used to be in that, like in years gone by. Got properly booted out of that when I got relegated.
You and Methuselah.
Yeah, exactly. But the analytics 64 is smashing that group, and I think the analytics 1,000 is one of the best leagues in the world. So. There is something. I mean, pre-season is the time where we've got the least amount of data, so it's the hardest for the models to adapt, like we've talked about. But I think it's still a useful exercise to see what exactly they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's the same for everybody, though. Like, as individuals, as people, our knowledge of what's happening and our personal projections on what we think might happen has got the least amount of data as possible. We don't even know if Erling Haaland's going to start game week 1.
Yeah, very good point.
So people say, the models aren't great in the first few game weeks. Neither are we.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
This is why it's often recommended to pick, steady picks to start an FPL season, to go with people like at the same club under the same manager with the same system, and where you know what you're going to get. And rather than going for like new signings and all that sort of stuff, because then you just know. And this is the problem. We're all floundering a bit, and especially this season with so much change in a World Cup year. Anything could happen.
It's why,
like a Royal Rumble.
And what do we say every year on BlackBox when we do these? It's like, when you start a season, stick with the tried and tested players. You don't need to be the first player, the first manager to get on the sexy, shiny new object. You can play it safe, get your James Garner in, and then move the rest of your team around to move. It's all about getting off to that strong, steady start, isn't it? That's the key with it. And you and I have been awful at that. Awful at doing that over the last few years, and that needs to change if we're going to have better seasons. Attaboy says no goalies. Yeah, I've taken goalies off some of these charts just because they do bloat it out a little bit. I've got an actual section for goalies, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, most of these I left them on the main scorers just so you could see there was just Raya on there. But generally they've been left out of these. You asked for this one. This is EO, so top 20 by ownership. I thought this would be quite interesting to look at the EO of players and then see where their average points are ranking in this kind of aggregated model. So Erling Haaland, for example, is the most owned player in the game. He's also first on the points rank. And if you look at the top 10, it's pretty consistent, right? Like you've got João Pedro, he's 10th. You've got Bruno Fernandes in second, Szoboszlai 7th. David Raya is in the top 20. Gabriel's 5th. Semenyo's 15th. Like the top 10 players are all in the top 20 pretty much, with the exception of Rodgers, who is 101st for projected points from the models over the first 6 weeks. So yeah, big difference there. And then when you look at the other side, so from 11th down to 20th, I mean, granted, we've got a lot of defenders there as well, but I mean, some of these are pretty low. I think particularly Gahey stands out here, 23% owned, 137th for projected points. Out of all players, very low.
It's tough for Gahey because you don't even know if he's going to be first choice anymore. He's competing with Gvardiol. And there's talk that they're going to make Ruben Diaz captain. And, so if it's Gvardiol or Gahey, Gvardiol's the better player. And if they stick Gvardiol at left back, then there's no Nico O'Reilly. And that's probably why his projections are quite low as well.
Yeah, so he's 86th. He's 86th over
Kushinov in the mix as well, but this is why you need to stick with the black box, because the wonderful Luke is very hot on the Man City lineups, and you'll get your information from him. So I won't speculate any further.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this top 20 by ownership though, and I mean, some of the other mentions are like Dubravka. Obviously, he's not going to play. That's why he's so low. But he's 14th. I look at like Diop, again low, but he's a 4 million defender. I look at this top 20, and I think this isn't how it's always been in FPL. Do you agree? Like, we are used to 5 or 6 seasons ago, the top 20 players would have been much more of a ragtag bunch, wouldn't they? They would be a lot less. Like, these are all good picks. There's no one in this top 20 that you would say is a fundamentally bad pick, right? I mean, Gahey is maybe the one.
Jupe's a bad pick.
Yeah, but he's 4 million.
Well, why are you wasting money on £4 million defenders when they're so vastly outscored the strikers last season?
True, but I mean, bench boost teams, bench boosting 1 against Sunderland at home. Like, you can see why people would pick Jop or Thomas or Giles or someone like that just for this. Like, they're not going to get you loads of points, but you can see there's still logic to it. With all of these players, there seems to be logic, with the exception maybe of Gahey and Rodgers. And that does worry me a bit.
In what sense?
In the sense that, like, we've talked for years about how, the game has got harder. And it's not just through the number of players, it's the fact people are more engaged and they understand things more. And I think what you're seeing from this is that, like, Szoboszlai is the 4th highest owned player in the game. Like,
no, I mean, that's understandable as well, though, because like Liverpool and Man United, they have such huge fan bases.
True.
That they want a player from their own.
But then
team.
Wirtz isn't. But Wirtz isn't on there. Wirtz is 14% owned.
Yeah, because he's not as good as Szoboszlai.
Yeah, but people are aware, people are aware of that. People are more aware of players in their own teams who are the best options. Like, a lot of these players are the pillars of their teams, right? They're not. They're not just picking someone for fun. I mean, Palmer, for example, I think a couple of seasons ago, Palmer would have been, he's a household name, right? So people instinctively just go for household names, not in the top 20.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got so much else to talk about. So many other charts.
It's crazy that Palmer's not top 20 when you.
I know. I think it's like 12%. Yeah, I think it's like 12% owned.
Maybe people just realising that he's, overrated as an FPL pick nowadays.
hard to get in with Gabriel, with Haaland, with Fernandes, and all of those lot.
I would say I think the common strategy, the popular strategy, is start with Fernandes and then switch to Cole Palmer.
Yeah, in game week 4.
So that's probably why.
Yeah, that is going to be very popular. Value. So what I've done here is I've taken a look at the top 20 players by points and then their price as well to see, like I said, most bang for your buck. There's some very interesting names on this one. Top of the pile for value, expected value over the first 6 game weeks is Maatsen from Aston Villa.
Good luck to anyone that goes there. They've just signed a new left back, haven't they?
Have they? He's doing so well on these predictions. I mean, Cash is 4th as well, so you could go for him. Yeah, the average is really high. Chow, we've already spoken about. He's 2nd. We think he's probably a hard avoid. Canvo I really like. So Canvo's 3rd for value. And when you're looking down this list, I mean, you know, you're looking at like for a Tarkovsky or someone who's going to reliably get you Defcons. Canvo was like 50%, I think, in terms of Defcons
really
last
good.
season.
Richards was better than Richards.
Yeah, Richards in 10th. So the Crystal Palace centre-backs feature well here. What I also really like about them is Canvo is 0.6% owned. Richard is 0.8% owned. So a lot of people are going to Mitchell, for example, because he's 4-5 and a bit cheaper. But actually, those 2 Palace centre-backs are featuring really high. And I will tell you right now, Mr. Nightmare, that as soon as I saw this, I put Canvo in my team.
Yeah, I mean, I was weighing up Chris Richards in my team, mainly because I like his little like mustache and stuff. I think he's got like that kind of like, he reminds me of like Shaft or something. And I don't know, there's something about having like players that make you smile in your team.
Yeah.
But I mean, the great picks, I think Crystal Palace on the whole have been quite underrated in the FPL community. Yep. It's probably because they've got Man City in game week 2, but after that, it is just a wonderful run of fixtures. And, you know, fair enough, they've lost a great manager in Glasner. They've lost some big players in Lacroix, Gahey, 6 months ago as well. But the fixtures are so good. And that's probably why Sarr is so high in the projection models as well, because the fixtures are really good for a long time.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there's Trigger said in the chat, Palace could be bad this season, but I mean, Everton weren't great last season, were they? But Tarkovsky got 170 points. If you got 150, 160 points for Canvo, you'd be absolutely delighted with that over the course of the year.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the DEFCON daddies, it doesn't matter if they're bad, as long as they're, you know, if they're actually worse defenders, to get
4
more
points,
DEFCOns.
Yeah, 4 points is all you need.
You know, so we need to embrace the averageness if we want to excel in this game this season.
Absolutely, you know? Yep. Gross features well here. He's 6th, so obviously he's in a lot of teams. He is by far the strongest, like, sort of budget midfield option. Looking at, I mean, there's Ndai. I think he's 15th. I don't think there's any other ones. I mean, Iwobi is on the list. He's got 22 expected points. I can't see many people starting with Iwobi when you could have Gross or Sangare. Sangare doesn't feature on here. He's someone that I've been toying with, but the models aren't quite as hot on him because obviously he hasn't done it in the Premier League. He's not a million miles off, but he's not, you know, sort of anywhere near the top 20 for anyone considering him. And then you've got a load of defenders. You've got Ballard in 11th, Tarkovsky in 12th, Mikolenko in 13th, Vardiol is in 14th. The dog's happy with that one. Rodon in 17th. And then some other players we mentioned. We've talked about Sarr, we talked about Szoboszlai. They both feature well here. And then Enzo Lefebvre in 20th. So a lot of these players we're seeing in teams. So there's clearly value in a lot of these picks. I mean, how do you feel about the pricing in general? Do you feel like the pricing was pretty good this year? Quite a few people saying it was quite low.
I think the pricing has been magnificent, and I think
be
you're
happy to
seeing that. I think that's showing in the fact that you've not got Gabriel in many teams. You know, Bruno Fernandes only less than half of teams, like 48% of teams or something. You know, there's, like you said, Cole Palmer nowhere near the top of the ownership charts. Like, at first it feels like everyone's too cheap, but now, as we've been tinkering and as we've been trying to fit people in, we actually can't afford all the people we want. But once you take out the outliers, like they're all so bunched together, and it creates a dynamic system. In I think over the season, it'll create a dynamic transfer market, and it'll encourage us to switch between players for fixture runs, and to try and chase the points. And I quite enjoy the prospect of that. I think they've priced it wonderfully. Maybe not perfectly, but you're not going to get everything perfect. But I think it's a lot better than people maybe originally thought.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like what we didn't want to see was like Gabriel on the value list, right? Top 20 value, the 6.5 million Gabriel, and he's in absolutely everyone's team. They had to make him high. They made some pretty big decisions, I think, on some players, and they got it right. I mean, there's no Arsenal defenders at all on this value list. We're looking at Mascara, we're looking at Calafiori, for example, we're looking at White, we've mentioned those before. I mean, they're not a million miles off. They're still kind of in and around 20, 21 expected points. But, Ballard is featuring higher, Tarkowski's featuring higher. You've got the two Crystal Palace defenders as well, Neco Williams. I'm toying with the idea of just going with no Arsenal. Especially because now it looks like they're in for another centre-back. It's Quansah they've been linked with today, and Quansah rumours are still going around. Ben White's been poor again from what I've heard pre-season. He didn't exactly have a great time of it last year when he was playing. And then you've got Hikampe, who I think is a really good player and could easily take minutes off Mascara or Calafiori. So you're the same as me, right? You've got Calafiori at the moment. Are you definitely starting with an Arsenal defender?
No, I don't. I've got Calafiori in at the minute, but it's almost by default. It's almost like I'll decide later. But I just don't. I don't really rate any of them, if I'm honest. I feel like it's Gabriel and Raya, and if you're not getting them, then what's the point?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure on Raya because I don't know. Like, I feel like we do this all the time, and then Arsenal always produce the goods. But I just, with Saliba being out, with Timber being out, I just don't really feel it. I don't feel Calafiori. I think he's probably the most exciting one, but he feels very much like a punt in a way that you wouldn't want a 5.5 million defender to feel.
I don't think he's had a particularly good pre-season either. Arsenal be very ropey at the back, haven't they?
Yeah, it is only pre-season. Once they're allowed to do the rugby set pieces again, everything might change. So.
Wow, very good. You'll notice there was no premium assets on that value table. Obviously, the value doesn't take into account captaincy, so captaincy is key. If you go for Haaland and you captain him in sort of the best weeks, gave it 1, 3, and 5, you could make an argument for Fernandes or someone around those. But if you captain him in sort of 3 or 4 weeks, his value does shoot up. He goes from 189th without captaincy to 43rd. So obviously it's quite a big jump. Bruno Fernandes, if you captain him in 2 and 6, he goes from 126th to 14th. Is that 14th or 114? 14th with captaincy. Fernandes and Palmer, if you captain in game week 4, when a lot of people are going to be bringing him in, he goes from 79th from value to 9th. So it's always a bit of what you could captain other players. You're not sure what points you're going to get. It's all a bit of a kind of thing, but it does show that when you add the captaincy in, you can't just build a team of like good value players. You still need the big picks to come through with the captaincy.
I would go so far as to say your captain is your most important, because I did a video about this earlier about why I'm going with Haaland and Bruno Fernandes, and it's because they are the best captain in 14 out of the first 16 game weeks according to the projections. And Cole Palmer I can kind of cover with Joao Pedro. The other game week is game week 10 with Saka. I'm not really bothered about Saka. I don't think many people will have him. But if you've got the best captain, like a captaincy haul can be worth 30 points from like 2 returns, 30 to 36 points. And if you get 36 points, that's 6 players getting, an assist.
Yeah. Just
from one player. The captains can cover the bad game week single-handedly. And we saw that a lot last season as well. A couple of years back, I had Isak as captain, and he got 32 points for me. Most of the field had Salah, who got like a 1-pointer. That was like a 30-point swing on one player. And I just think if you focus on the captaincy, get your captaincy sorted, and then build your team out from that, because you're better off losing like maybe 2 points off a mid-range player than losing 15 points off the wrong captain.
Yeah, I mean, you do have good options. The Haaland and Fernandes does give you the option to mess. I mean, the game week 1 captaincy is interesting, isn't it? Because Haaland's been what was Maresca said? He's had a problem with the back of his heel or something like that. That was just after we saw a video of him smashing one in the training match. But I'm on Fernandes at the moment. I don't know which way you're going, but up against Hull, we're absolutely decimated with injuries. It's pretty tempting.
I am not deciding anything until like next Friday, because I just don't see any point. There's going to be the Charity Shield. There's going to be press conferences. It's such a
if they're both fully fit
decision.
and playing if they're both fully fit and expected to play 90, then which way would you lean for game week 1?
Haaland, without a shadow of a doubt. Just look at his opening record in the first 5 games. Like, he just smashes it. First 10 games, he smashes it. Like, this bloke at the start of seasons is unrivaled. And then Bruno Fernandes is a very slow starter traditionally. So, if we go on the history, the best strategy is to start with Haaland, then switch to Fernandes around game week 10. But obviously, it's different when we're looking forward rather than back. So I've got no problem. I always think if you're in doubt, just go with the one that's playing at home, because that advantage can be big.
Yep. This is interesting as well from Top Marks, who's making some good comments in the chat. Hear what you're saying about captains. By this logic, you're saying Haaland is priced too cheaply. There comes a point where funds invested elsewhere surpasses Haaland. Well, I think that is what Mark and co have done. They have taken Haaland to a price point in which he isn't optimal. Like, he's not. When I show you some of the teams later, you'll see that he's not in the optimal teams. Now, I completely agree with you. The value of his captaincy maybe is understated and things like that. But, there were periods last season, weren't there, where he would go 2-3 games without a goal. I mentioned on BlackBox last week, he's going to need to get 27 to 30 goals this season, really, to justify that cost. He's more than capable of doing that, of course he is. But it's still a big ask for any player to score 30 goals in the Premier League, and you can use that money, particularly early on when we're thinking about early bench boosts and things. I mean, there will be people that go without Haaland and still do quite well.
What I would say is you want to look at Man City's home games for the first 13 game weeks, because if you don't have Haaland for them, you are going to be hiding behind your sofa the entire time. It's just not worth doing that to yourself.
Is it all 3 promoted teams at home in the first 60? They've got Ipswich and Coventry. They got Hull as well?
Hang on 1 second. I mentioned this in my video today. Oh, my computer's running too slow.
No.
This is the updating I did before we came on. Right, what we're talking about. Oh, yeah, the fixtures. The fixtures for Man... I should have just brought it up on the FPL website instead of looking for my own silly graphics. The fixtures for Man City... The start against Bournemouth at home. Then it's Coventry at home in game week 3. Then it's Sunderland at home game week 5. Ipswich game week 7. Brighton game week 9. Fulham game week 11, and Leeds game week 13.
Okay, so
now, which of them do you not want to captain Haaland for?
Well, which of those do you triple captain Haaland in? I think is the bigger question.
Well, it's game week 3 or game week 7, depending on your trip strategy, really, because Haaland against promoted teams generally goes
3's a good one because they don't have any midweek game, whereas I think all of the future home games, they have the potential to be in a cup match before. Not saying he never really gets rested, does he? But you never know, early sub or something like that. Whereas that Coventry game looks nice because he'll play 90 in that, sort of almost guaranteed.
Yeah, some people like Fernandes game week 2 as well. It wouldn't be my pick, but a lot of people are. Well, some people
full of Ham, who's one of our BlackBox patrons, says Fulham at home would be my triple captain. He's obviously confident about his chances this year.
People desperate to use a trips game week 1. Why not go wild and triple captain Isak on his return to Newcastle?
Because he's going to get clouted by Joe Linton in the first 5 minutes.
Well, he might do, but then he might provide a new level of robustness, and then he's against 10 men who can't defend.
Yeah, I think they're probably safe with that. Isak and robust, I do not think go together. I know we had a question about goalkeepers earlier, so I put these together. So these are the top 10 goalkeepers over the first 6. It's almost just like pick your poison, isn't it, with this? Raya's top, no surprise. Lamons is very close to him, though, for $1 million less. and he shows up very, very well in the optimal squads. He's the best if you want to rotate goalkeepers as well. It's Lamans and Kinksky that shows up the best, which is on this rotation here. You basically play Lamans in all the games except for game week 4, then you bring in Kinksky for Everton at home. So if you want sort of the best rotation, that's it. If you want the best single goalkeeper and still want sort of money to spend, Lamans does do really well. The only issue with that is, if you want a 4-5 Shaw or you want a Maguire, obviously, and then you still want the double attack, you're going to find it hard. Shout out to Kinksky here though. He is 9th, so he's the cheapest player in the top 10. So obviously he's very popular. His projected points are pretty good, just over that 20 sort of benchmark. And he's the only 4.5 goalkeeper who has that. So if you're looking for just a set and forget 4-5 goalkeeper for the first 6 weeks, Kinksky is number 1. To be honest, I don't think we're seeing a huge amount of variation here. It's either you go for Raya, you go for Lamans, or you go for Kinksky and Verbruggen, right? That seems to be those 3 options. I'm not seeing. There's no one going for the 5 million goalkeepers outside of Lamans, is there? Like Sanchez's, Kelleher's, Rolfs.
I have thoughts, and my thoughts are, first of all, shout out Nick Trigg, not only hater of innuendos, but he put me on to a Kinksky and Bernd Leno rotation.
Yep.
And what that is Kinksky has 4 really tough games in the opening, like 17 or 18 game weeks for my, obviously I have to look longer term for my wild card. And I'm just trying to find out. So you've got game week 6, Kinksky plays Man United away. Game week 8, Chelsea. 14, Arsenal. 16, Liverpool. Now in them, it is Leno has Ipswich, he has Coventry, he has Everton and Leeds. And they're maybe not the best games, but they are the best fixtures. Like, if you're going for a Kinksky rotation, Leno is the best. But I want to just talk about Kinksky because I think he's been underpriced, and I think people are overlooking the fact that he could quite easily be one of the biggest bargain goalkeepers we've ever had. He's 4.5 million. He came into and these stats are from Next 11 app, which is Alex Volo's app. Sorry to keep shouting out things that don't sponsor the Black Box.
Twerking for Volo now, yeah.
Well, I just twerk for the community.
We all twerk for Volo. He's the puppet master.
Well, he's got some nice graphics as well. But his website, I went on that, filtered game week 32, which is when Kinksky came into the team. And from game week 32, there's 7 games that Kinksky had the second least expected goals conceded, 5.55. Second only to Raya, 5.26. But Raya played 1 game fewer. So we know that Spurs actually aren't conceding a lot of expected goals chances. And then they've brought in Andy Robertson, they've brought in Senesi, they've brought in Van Hecke, they have brought in Mateus Fernandes, they've brought in Tonali. So they're going to be even tighter. In theory, would be my, we don't know. But hypothetically, they've strengthened what had already proven to be a very strong area. They keep the ball. That's the way they play. It's the possession. And I think Kinksky, like I say, going toe for toe with Raya for expected goals conceded for $1.5 million cheaper. It's mad, like.
Well, when you look at these 5 million or even the 5.5 goalkeepers, you do wonder why he hasn't been priced at the same amount as those. Because, I mean, Kelleher, Rolfs, Sells, like these are 5 million. Why would you pay 5 million for those when you can have? I mean, I know Spurs have finished 17th 2 years in a row. You could argue they're a relegation, team. But if you look at the projections for their league position, most betting companies are having them like 5th or 6th, something like that. If you're getting a 5th place Premier League team goalkeeper for 4.5 million, exactly like you said, that's going to be one of the best bargains we've ever had. I did look at that rotation, the Kinksky and Leno rotation. The models do like. It comes exactly the same projected points as Kinksky and Verbruggen, 20.33. Right.
Yeah, but it's the fixtures, isn't it? Like, I don't like rotating my goalkeepers.
The problem is with the Kinksky
and fixtures.
Yeah, the problem with the Kinksky and Leno rotation is you've got to play Leno. And Fulham, I'm sorry, are going to get battered this
Yeah,
season.
but you get. Well, we don't.
Unlike the
know,
mighty
do we?
Brighton, we're going to win every game.
We don't. I would tend to say the same. I would say Fulham are actually one of my. I think they could go down. I really do, because they've lost an iconic manager in Marco Silva, and they've brought in Arbeloa. He's I don't know, like all these Real Madrid kids he's bringing in. It feels like money laundering.
I know.
It's like when I don't think they're going to be good enough. And I know people will say the same about Newcastle, and I would too. That's why I want Newcastle to sign some experienced players. Sign a new captain, and
it only takes one of those three promoted teams to get off to a good start. Like we've seen with Sunderland, we've seen it time and time again. Like Hull when they were under Phil Brown, and they were like 6th place by Christmas. It only takes one team to have a good start, and then there's going to be a team like Newcastle or Fulham. It's very easy to get dragged down into that. I mean, even Brighton. I mean, everything talked about Brighton. I mean, we've lost Minte today. We are so light, like right across the midfield and attack.
This is what they call catastrophising as. Brighton are going to be absolutely fine. I don't think you should be worrying at all.
We are, but you just never know. Like, you never know what could happen. And, I don't think Brighton are a panic stage team, but, we've got a hard game against Tromsø next week in Norway. Like, what team are we going to put out for that? We've got a couple of hard fixtures. Villa always batter us at the Amex. We could lose that game. We could lose to Chelsea in 2. Then suddenly there's a bit of pressure on us going into teams like Coventry. If Coventry get a win against us, I think it's game week 4 or 5, suddenly we're down the bottom of the league after 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that about any team, though. If everybody gets injured and everybody loses every game, then they're going to be in trouble, aren't they?
But that is exactly my point. My point is it can happen to lots of different teams, and the concern is that it's your team that it happens to. Of course, it won't though. Newcastle and Brighton will be.
Hey, it might do with Newcastle.
Yeah,
let's be real. Like, it's how you look at it. It could be a revolutionary move, change the transfer model from the end of phase 1 onto phase 2, rebuild. Or you could say they've sold off all these world-class players, replaced them with these kids and nobodies, and they've brought in, the internal promotion candidate from Saudi Arabia, and they're doing everything on the cheap. It could go either way, and I am not optimistic.
No. Oh dear. Let's take a look at some more stats instead then. This is the this is the wrong one. This one. Defenders top 10. We've talked about some of these already, but I just thought I'd go through position by position. So these are the top 10 defenders, 5 million and under. A lot of people are considering those. It's Chow, Canvo, Matson, Williams features highly, Dallo, Richards, Ballard, Van Heck, Cash, and Maguire. We've talked about most of those players. I mean, the one we haven't really spoken about is Van Hecker. At 5 for Spurs. He was very popular right at the start of pre-season, and then I think everyone's cottoned on to the fact that Kinksky is such good value, so they've gone off it. But I still think that's a very good price for him.
I think as well, I don't think he's going to be very good for Defcons because of the way Spurs play. Yeah. So, and Defcons is where the money is made in defence. It's just...
Well, it's interesting with this list. I mean, we've already mentioned it before, but there isn't a huge amount of DEFCON options in the top 10 defenders projections from these models. I mean, you've got
Talk to me about that. Is it Vuskovic? Talk to me about him. Because I want him, but I've been here with Brighton before. I had what's his face to Kuiper last season. I was convinced this is the one. Look at his goal and assist record. We've heard this before, haven't we? He's going to come in, and then he did absolutely nothing. I think he was out the team by game week 5. So talk to me about Vuskovic. Is he worth the gamble? Let's answer some proper questions.
Well, Vuskovic had about a 60%, I think between 60 and 65% DEFCON rate in the Bundesliga. Obviously got into the Bundesliga team of the season. He scored 5 or 6 goals in that year as well. He's an absolute menace from set pieces. And Brighton have spoken very clearly about wanting to get more goals from set pieces. Who takes the set pieces? Gross. Who's going to be on the end of the set pieces? Vuskovic. It looks like a match sort of made in heaven. The issue is, Andrew, we have 7 centre-backs on the books at Brighton, and I cannot tell you which ones are going to start, because I think Hertz really likes Biscogli. He did well for us towards the end of last season. He's been playing in pre-season and looking quite assured. Lewis Dunk is still obviously club captain. We've got Vuskovic there too. So you've got 3, very good defenders, vying for that spot. We've got other defenders like Igor who we're looking to get rid of and players, but there isn't any guarantee that we start with those two. Also, we've got Pascal Struijk, who we signed, who I really, really rate. So I don't think he's going to play both Struijk and Vuskovic game week 1. I think it's very, very likely that Boskogli starts at centre-back. So then you've got one place next to him. Would you risk one place next to him for Vuskovic?
Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about the lad except, he's meant to be a proper DEFCON daddy, and I want these DEFCON daddies in my team. So for the sake of my FPL team, I would risk him. But
he will be first choice. Like, he will be, but I don't know if he will be at the start of the season because we've lost. You think we've lost Welbeck, we've lost Minte now. That's 2 key players. Are we gonna start the season with an entirely new centre back pairing? And losing key players across the pitch. I think he's going to want experience, like experienced heads, to get us through the first few weeks. And that could mean Duncan Boskogli just start the season, as they did towards the end of last year. So I think it's a massive wait and see. I think you wait until you wildcard. I know you're talking about game week 16 wildcards. It's not going to happen. You're going to be wildcarding in game week 6. Not going to happen. You'll be wildcarding in game week 6 for Vuskovic because he's just scored a bullet header against Coventry. It's inevitable.
No, it isn't. I'll have 5 free transfers by then. I won't need to wildcard.
The one I'm more interested in is Murahemovic.
Murahemovic. Yeah, I've got him in my team.
Yeah.
He's been in my team the whole time. He's just, I just think he's come in to replace Pascal Struijk. And, since the switch to that three centre-back formation, Struijk was a proper DEFCON daddy. A proper DEFCON daddy. And they reckon this Murahemovic is going to be the same. And again,
he is.
Threat.
You talk about Vuskovic being a unit. I mean, he is as well. And he loves it. He loves an aerial duel and a header. And he looks great. I really want him.
Yeah, I really want him. I'm tempted by the double-up with Rodon as well, to be honest. But I just think that... I just don't know.
And the models are slow on him, so the models aren't recommending him because they're not committing to this DEFCON thing. In fact, they're not really committing to, like I said, a lot of DEFCON daddies on this list at all. But that's why I think...
This is why models should be used to supplement your approach.
That's why I think Canvo... That's why Canvo stands out so much to me on this, because he is being backed very high. And yeah, that's why he's in my team. Best 4-5 pairing that the models like is Maatsen and Shaw, like I mentioned. So it's effectively Shaw. You could go cash as well, obviously. It's Shaw for the first 2, and then Maatsen for the next 4. I mean, the fixtures are all right. I mean, they've got Hull in 4. I mean, then they've got Forest, Spurs, and Brentford. I don't love those fixtures for Villa, but yeah, I mean, he's not too bad for 4-5. But I mean, none of the 4-5 options particularly stand out. I think if we knew Rodon was going to play, I think he'd probably be my favourite at 4-5 still. But yeah, it'd be funny though. We're going to see people with Maatsen in their teams, and we're going to go, oh, model. I don't think it's going to be.
It's going to be like the benchmarker.
Yeah. Oh, but Triggerlip's getting a lot of mentions today. What was it? Dunk Concert Winks. These are your top mids under 8 million. So Mbumo's top of this list, Szoboszlai's second, Verts' third, Gibbs White is fourth. So they've got that right, given that there's the most expensive ones that we're talking about are all kind of the top 4. Then you've got Ismail Assar in fifth. He's only in 8% of teams, and he features really, really high. I mean, his projected points are pretty much in line with Gibbs White and Verts, only a little bit off that. So yeah, he looks really good. You spoke about Palace's fixtures as well, and he could be on pens. Yeah. If Mateta leaves.
He does have injury problems though, doesn't he? That's always the worry with someone like Ismail Assar. He's great, but for how long? I look at the one below him, Kane and Dewsbury Hall, and I think 4.9 points a game last season. Just off the likes of Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka, really high. I think he was 6th or 7th highest in the points per game last season. He's in the hole in that number 10, and I do like Dewsbury Hall. I'd like to get him in, but I can't justify the extra $500,000 over
6-5.
James Garner. You know,
I love
but
Dewsbury Hall.
I do like Dewsbury Hall.
He was one of few successes for my season last year. I think he played, was it Burnley at home when he scored? I had him for that game. I think Tarkowski scored as well. I had both of them in that. That was one of few good weeks. He's only 3.7% owned as well, so he's a real differential. You've got Ndiaye just behind him, and that's the killer. Ndiaye's 15% owned and has a very similar expected points, and is on penalties. And is cheaper. So there's quite a lot of reasons to pick him.
I can't respect Ndiaye as a pick.
I
just can't.
I can't.
James Garner's right there.
If Ndiaye was top of this list, I might have to just get him, but I can't do it either.
I feel like he's kind of like the mole, like the little plant in the list to see who is capable of applying reason to the statistics and choosing for themselves, and who's just
he's
blindly...
so popular. He's so popular. He's in so many teams that I'm
Good.
seeing.
I hope he's in 99% of teams by the deadline.
I mean, my boys though, I've got Lefay. He's ninth. I love watching him. I think he's an absolutely fantastic player. We think on pens there are some concerns that Diarra might take them, but again, the Sunderland correspondent was very much in favour of Lefay and saying that he didn't think Diarra was gonna start. And then you've got my boy Pascal Gross in 10th. The fact that Gross is 5-5 and in the top 10 midfielders for 8 million or under for expected points, and is only 10% owned, it's very hard to make a case against him. He feels a little bit like Ndiaye though, doesn't he? Like he's
Pascal Gross?
Yeah, like he's not exciting, is he? He's not, but he's got enough routes to points to.
He feels exciting for me. I've never applied an
Oh.
analytical approach to FPL before, so Pascal Gross is a good little benchmark for me, and I feel like he'll actually go down as we approach the deadline. I think people are going to start panicking. Oh, he's played in Europe, and I just don't see him getting rotated that much, to be honest.
Well, Gomez is interesting as well because he's 5 million and he is absolutely nailed. I mean, if there's any worries of Minte taking his place and us playing someone on the left, that's now quashed because Minte's out. And yeah, Gomez just signed a new contract. Hertzler absolutely loves him. I think he has been underpriced at 5.
What about Ayari? Because he did well the other day, didn't he?
Yeah, he does all right on some of these projections as well. It's just does he play? Because we've got options, in midfield. I mean, Baleba, is he going to stay? If Baleba goes, then I think Ayari is pretty much nailed on. But we have got players that can play in central midfield, and Ayari doesn't always get in the team. But I would expect him to probably play the most. I remember again, Lee from FPL Family asked me if he should get him last year, and I was like, no, there's loads of our options. And then he scored immediately, like the first game week he asked. I think there's probably better picks.
I think the thing with Pascal Gross is who's better for 5.5 million.
It's him or Sangari for me, but we don't know. Sangari's gonna. We know that Gross is gonna be a good pick. Like he's creative. He does well on the bonus. He's on set pieces. He's on pens. Brighton are a pretty attacking team. Like he's got all the hallmarks. It's a shame he's not playing as a 10, but he's still going to create chances from his role because he's got a great pass. I do like Lefay as a pick as well. He's been in a lot of my drafts. I don't think he's in at the minute. Can't remember, but I do like him as a pick, especially with them opening fixtures. But then I don't think he'd be in for a long time. Yeah.
I would actually think starting with Lefay and then going down to Gross after a couple of weeks, or Sangare, depending on who is looking more sustainable, is a nice strategy.
Or even them both. Even them both at 5.5 wouldn't be awful.
Yeah.
Use that money
I've got
elsewhere.
them both.
Have you? Yeah, that might be what I do a bit later on. Final one is forwards. We haven't really spoken too much about forwards on this stream. They didn't really feature in the top value picks. The optimal teams don't really like them. They tend to favour sort of 4 at the back or 5 in midfield. Haaland, Isak, Pedro we've spoken about, Watkins, Thiago. Calvert-Lewin, if you're looking for a 6 million option, he is the best one when it comes to the models. They like the fact he plays 90. They like the fact he's on penalties as well.
No Europe.
Yeah, he is ahead of McBurney, who is 7th. And again, the models quite like McBurney. Again, it's the pens and the nailed onness of him. You don't really get that from Wright, for example, at Coventry. There's some rumours that he's maybe carrying a bit of a knock, hasn't had a great pre-season. They might sign another striker. They've got a couple of other strikers on the books as well. Brobby in 8th, again, the expected minutes, I think, lets him down. Interesting, Evan Nilsson is 9th, and he's ahead of Igor Jesus, who's in 10th. I've got Igor Jesus in my team at the moment, but I'm looking for any excuse not to go for Calvert-Lewin, but it is hard when you look at the facts. Like, Calvert-Lewin does have a bit more appeal.
Well, maybe for you. I mean, you can see the argument. You can see. I mean, you have this intertwinement with Calvert-Lewin that spans.
No.
You know, it spans all of space and time.
Do you know? Just quickly. I don't want to interrupt you, but just quick, I was looking at some of my tweets from last season, and one of my tweets was talking about bringing Calvert-Lewin in. I think I wildcarded him in. And I mean, you know, occasionally I get some hate messages on Twitter and people being arseholes and things like that. But I know, you wouldn't believe it. But I've never had as many as that tweet, because people are like, Az has lost the plot. He's literally an idiot. He's the worst FPL manager in the world. He's going to finish 4 million. He doesn't watch football. What an atrocious pick. Like, comment after comment after comment. And look at him now. He's template. 6 months later, he's bloody template in everyone's team. Everyone's saying how great he is. 25% owned.
For Calvert-Lewin, you could get big James Tarkowski and an extra 20-odd points, 25 points. So, but then the argument is, of course, it's actually an extra, you know, it's an extra 500,000 because there's no 4 million strikers.
And a dead-end spot.
But no, I like Igor Jesus as part of a rotation. What I would suggest is looking at the Bournemouth, Brentford, Nottingham Forest rotation, because you get a great game every week all the way to game week 17, and which is obviously my target for my game week 17 wild card, which I can't wait to play.
I love that you don't like a goalkeeper rotation, but you'll happily rotate around players that there's much more risk.
Well, as we'll see with my team when we get to it later, like the thing with outfield rotation is that you need subs sometimes, and if you've got good players on the bench, then you know, something's going on with
you've frozen in the happiest little pose.
Am I back? Yeah,
you're back.
I'm back.
Yeah,
He's back.
He's back.
I'm better than ever. Can anyone remember it?
You look
Eric
so
Bischoff.
happy. Oh, of course.
Well, you know, at least I'll look happy. That's all I can say. But
it was no Vince McMahon, was it?
Yeah, if you've got a 3-way rotation, I actually don't think there's a lot of like 2-player rotations that look that good this season. I think you have to push it to a 3-way. But I would say having a 3-way rotation of slightly lesser players is probably better than having an Umbumo and 2 4.5 million players, because you get them subs, and sometimes these subs have better games, like decent enough games, and we do need subs, especially a season like this, a World Cup. You know, following a World Cup, we're going to need squads. So I do like a rotation. I like Igor Jesus as part of a rotation. Get Sangare and Truffet in there as well, and you're absolutely laughing.
Yep. Final one. We've actually covered all of the tables I wanted to do. Final one, though, I just wanted to show the differentials. So we talked about EO a little bit earlier, coming back to it. Top 20 differentials. So this is players who are under 10% owned, no goalkeepers, and sort of the top projected points. So Sarr is top in terms of that. So 7% ownership, 26 projected points. Dewsbury Hall, we talked about, he's second, 24.8. Tarkowski is third. Look at that. I mean, he looks like a perfect player, doesn't he? I mean, 9.7% owned, 25 expected points, low standard deviation on those numbers. He's going to get you what the models suggest he's going to get, unless Everton go to absolute hell, which I don't think they will, because Moyes knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He's just going to get them the same mid-table, grind out the 1-0s.
I think the only
he's a very good option.
I think the only worry with him is how long he keeps his place for, because they're in for a right back. If they get a right back, then that O'Brien can go to centre back alongside Branthwaite, and then that's what I'm told. That's what Everton fans think is going to happen or should happen. And I mean, I've heard that they're in for Daniel Munoz at right back. Can you imagine?
No, there's no way they're going to sign Munoz. I will eat my hat.
It's Munoz feels like I don't mean to be rude, but Munoz feels like he should be at a club with European football. We'll
Do you know how old he is? I learned
29. Is he 29?
He's 30. He's 30.
30, yeah.
I was surprised.
The dirty 30s.
I thought he was like 27, 28. I thought he was sort of in his prime, but he's on the way down.
Yeah, I think he's a good player, like Munoz. I don't know how good he is actually defensively, because I never really watched Crystal Palace. I only ever really think of Munoz from a FPL perspective. And
I don't think he'll like playing under David Moyes. Do you?
Moyes will probably play him on the wing.
Yeah, he might do. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? That would be fun.
I do like Tarkowski. He's not in my draft, and he should be. And all I feel like this has just been a propaganda session for me to sort my draft out and get Tarkowski in it. And
if this stream doesn't talk you into Tarkowski, I don't know what will. I mean, like I said, I've mentioned Canvo over and over again. He's the other one. He's ninth on this list, 0.6% owned. I think he's got the lowest ownership of all players on this chart. So he's the ultimate differential. I mean, just to read out some of the others, like Tavernier's on here, Foden's on here, Wilson, Rayan makes it. He's in 15th. Murillo is in 20th. Spurs is Fernandez. These are all players with over sort of 20 points. So they're all part of those good options that we mentioned. So there are differentials out there if you want to risk it and go for them. I mean, or you just play it very safe. But yeah, I think the pricing's been pretty good. I think the players that we're looking at here, like you can make a case for them. Like we mentioned, like Szoboszlai, for example. Can you ignore him and go for someone a bit more exciting? Can you swerve Calvert-Lewin and go for Tarkowski? Can you stick in a Canvo? Can you go for a Fernandez over a Gross? Like they're the tweaks, right? You get your core squad and then you just make those little bits around the edge, and hopefully, charts like this can help show that.
It's quite interesting that Ryan's so high when Bournemouth have such a they've got a difficult opening to the season.
Considering he has no set pieces, no penalties as well, and a difficult run.
Yeah, but I think he might. I was watching someone that said he might end up playing alongside.
Yeah, I think he will.
Evan Nilsson.
I think it was me.
I don't think it was. It might have been the correspondence thing on.
Well, it's what he did with. It's what he did with
maybe
Nkunku.
Where you robbed it from.
Yeah, no, I was before that. Well, no, I saw a video about how we used Nkunku, and then Nkunku used to come off the right and play as basically a striker.
Yeah.
When he was
it's an interesting one, but Bournemouth have got Europe, haven't they? Have they? I can't remember. I can't remember which clubs.
Yeah,
Sunderland,
they have.
Palace, Bournemouth, and is it Brighton?
And Brighton, we got Conference League.
Yeah. And it was Brentford that missed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have Bournemouth got it?
I think so.
We have.
Yes, because there was a big thing about Iraola leaving after getting them the Europa League.
I'm pretty sure they have. I can't believe we got to go for a bloody qualifier though. That is a joke.
Well, of course you have. You weren't good enough.
I know. Well, we got the only place we could have done. We got we finished in the position to get it.
Ah, you did well.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at some teams then. We've talked a lot about different things. Let's talk about the optimal team. So this would be an optimal team from the model for gamings 1 to 6 with no chips. Like I mentioned, no Haaland in this. So it's Lamans in goal, Gabriel, Vardiol, Matson, Sarr, Szoboszlai, Fernandez, Mbumo, Palmer, Isak and Pedro up top. And then Dubravka, Chow, Van Ewijk and Waldy Ekdi, who's like the Ipswich striker who's scoring a few goals in pre-season. So no Haaland in this one. I mean, it does look stronger, doesn't it? I mean, the Isak one, we both agree, I don't think we'll be going there. And Palmer maybe is a bit too much of a pump. But there is potential there. I mean, it's more punty in a way than I thought it would be, given that you've got Matson, Sarr, Palmer, Isak.
I think it looks terrible.
You don't like it? You don't like
it? No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't like the balance. I don't like that they've got Chow in there because that's a bad pick. I don't like the Palmer. I don't like Isak. I'm not sold on Mbumo, to be honest with you. But I don't like the keeper either. and the bench is too weak. I don't like that. I don't think it is. I don't think it is optimal.
Don't think it is optimal.
You know, well, no, because if you get an injury or a suspension or two, then you suddenly you're going to have to start making transfers, and that's not an optimal approach. I think, you sack off Palmer and get Semenyo, you can get another 5 million defender in there, and it looks better. I mean, Martin's starting. I mean, come on now.
Maatsen and Chow looks weak to me.
The whole thing looks weak.
I think there's better 5 million options, and I think Maatsen is. I don't even know what to say about that. Anyway, that's that one. You've then got a bench boost 1 team. So this is very similar. Here you've got Lammens and Verbruggen. Shaw comes in, Calvert-Lewin comes in, and Gross comes in. But otherwise, it's very, very similar. Lammens, Gabriel, Vardiol, Shaw, Sarr, Szoboszlai, Fernandez, Palmer, Isak, Pedro, Calvert-Lewin, Verbruggen, Gross, Chow, and Maatsen on the bench. It keeps Chow. It's so bullish on Chow that it keeps him to play him in game week 1 against Liverpool. It's that convinced on his points for the rest of the 5 weeks.
I'm trying to decide what's worse, these teams you're showing me or my shirt.
Well, I love your
They're
shirt.
all hideous. They're all hideous. Honest to God. If this is like, who's decided this is optimal? Is this you putting it together?
This is the aggregated optimal team from the 4 models.
Go on, pass that book.
It's not nothing to do
horrible.
with me. It's nothing. It is nothing.
If this
to
is
do
you
with me.
putting them together, get back to that drawing board.
This is nothing to do with me. This is running it through. Looking at to see when you look at the expected points, which is the most points you can get for the first 6 weeks. These are the teams that it comes up with. And then Bench Boost 2, you're going to like even less. Although it has got Tarkovsky in it. Lammens, Gabriel, Tarkovsky, Shaw, Sarr, Szoboszlai, Fernandez, Palmer, Isak, Pedro, Calvert-Lewin, very similar. And then you've got double Coventry defence in Rushworth and Van Ewijk. And then Gross and Chow still makes it with that away match at Spurs.
See, what I would say about this hideous draft is that if you're going for double Coventry defence, you might as well just get rid of Chow and get a third Coventry defender in and go for the full-on stacking approach, because if you get 2 clean sheets, you're going to wonder why you didn't anyway, and then you can get somebody better in the rest of the team. I think these are hideous. Like Cole Palmer. What has Cole Palmer done to merit being in any of these squads?
Craigie Boy Quick says, screenshot as and shout it before we realise. Of course I will. In 6 weeks' time, we'll take a look back and see how they did. I saw a little bitchy comment, which I'm going to read now as well. Did they delete it? I think they deleted it. Or someone deleted it. It said, this is why Az is so bad. Pick the wrong model. This isn't me picking a model. This is the aggregated model. Don't have to say it.
You're not helping yourself, pal.
4 models in one, Andrew. 4 models in one.
You're not helping yourself.
Of course I am.
I can't believe I'm associated with this nonsense. Like, come on now.
The final thing I did was I asked it to lock in Fernandez and Haaland to see what it would come up with. So this is
now we're going to see a proper draft.
A forced Haaland draft. This has got Lammens, Maatsen, Shaw, and Canvo makes it into this one. Sarr, Szoboszlai, Fernandez, Palmer, and Gross. Haaland and Pedro. And then it's a 4 million non-playing goalkeeper. The Ipswich striker, Chow, loves Chow, and Van Ewijk as well. So this is the best it could do with Fernandez and Haaland. I mean, you're being very negative. Everyone's being very negative about it. I mean,
I love it. I hope everybody adopts this team.
I mean, it's not a bad team.
It is. It is. Like, I mean, what I would say about this one is it's the least worst. Like, to be fair, I think the midfield's fine apart from Palmer. I think the defence is hideous apart from Canvo, and I'm not even that sold on him. I just can't justify this Lamens and whoever that is on the thing. I don't think these graphics are very readable as well. That's another thing. PlanFPL.com, use a different font so we can read it better.
Just flag up our sponsors again, Andrew. That's fine, don't worry about it.
Constructive criticism, maybe if it was a bit more readable, I'd use them on my own website for free.
I will say that the Plan FPL new template isn't as good as the old one. It's an amazing site, and I use it to plan everything. But I do prefer the old layout, the old UI.
I just think the text is too small. Like I'm not going to advise other websites though, because that would be a bit rude, and I'm skirting the boundaries of decency.
I love
with
Peter. You can talk about FPL team. I'm a big fan of Peter. I'm one of his biggest fans. We got Scout on me, so we got to use their thing. But Peter did an amazing job.
And of course, Alex Volo's app, Next11.app.
Yeah, we're banned.
Volo's graphics. It's lovely.
Oh, you're going to lose me my sponsorship deal now. Cheers, mate.
Okay, well, they won't sponsor me, so Sodom.
If I can have them, I'll take you all down. Yeah, love it. Okay, well,
I'm only messing. The Scout is, a respected voice in the community, far better than that hideous Hub. Curse on anyone who's sponsored by Hub.
Not my words. Staying well out of that. Should we look at a proper draft then?
Yes, yours. Let's put yours up.
No. We're coming straight to yours. Go on then.
Look at that. That is beautiful.
You've been very negative about the old Models optimal team. It's slaved away, making that for you. Go on then.
Right,
talk us through it. Read it out for the pod.
Right, for the pod, for the audio listeners. I mean, look at that. You can actually read these people. I don't need to read it out because you can actually read this graphic, but it's Kinski and Leno as the goalkeepers. It's Calafiori, Muaremovic, Aina, Mitchell and Truffert in defence. Fernandez, Semenyo, Zoboslai, Gross and Sangare in midfield. And then Haaland, Joao Pedro and a dead spot 4.5 million striker. It's Kusi Asare at the minute, but if somebody's like sold or loaned out or something, it would be straight in there. Now, what you've got to realise that this is in the context of a game week 17 wild card.
Ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous.
Don't give me
What's
that.
ridiculous? What is ridiculous? What is ridiculous is in the post World Cup year where we've got all this change. We've got 9 teams in Europe, all these extra fixtures. Players have been flogged year upon year upon year, and all I'm seeing is I'm going to wild card in game week 4. I'm going to wild card in game week 6. Your second wild card's not going to be till like game week 32 or something. I think it's ridiculous. People are talking about going 26 game weeks, 28 game weeks without a wild card. It's TikTok FPL. It's ADHD FPL. And
if you make it to game week 17 to wildcard with a team that contains Leno, Kusi Asare, and a completely unknown Sangare and an Aina who might even be replaced next week, I will give you £50.
Well, that's it. I don't need your money. You're not sponsoring me. I'm not planning on keeping all these players until game week 17, man. Like,
this team is not well set up for 17 weeks. I'm not having
It doesn't
that.
need to be. It's set up well for 5 game weeks, by which point it'll be after the 3-week international break and I'll have 5 free transfers. By that point, I can reassess. I can think, maybe Haaland's injured, get rid of him, spread the funds around. 5 transfers is powerful. But this team, and I wish I'd got my graphics, I've not been prepared. This team is solid. It is fine. Like, I told you about the Forest and Brentford and Bournemouth rotation, and that's what I've got here. Aina for his games, Truffert when it's the other games. Like, you might think it doesn't look good.
Models favour Hill. You're going against the models. You're going against all the lessons we should have learnt last year.
Well, I don't know if you can say that when you've just put them drafts on this camera. Like, come on now. Look, it doesn't look what I've got here.
They're optimal, Andrew. They're optimal. If they don't succeed, it's just variance.
People saying I'm trying to be too clever. I'm not. What I would say is if you want a full in-depth analysis, go to the FPL Nightmare YouTube channel.
Very nice.
There's a lovely video talking this through, and it shows you over the game weeks, over the first 5 game weeks, and it is grand. You know, if you give me 2 seconds, I should have had them all loaded up here. No, do you know what? I'm not. I'm just going to... You can mock if you want, but I've got the 2 best captains, and that's the key. I've got the 2 best captains for 17 game weeks, that's all. The rest of it, you don't get to wildcard 17 by planning a 17-week team. That's just stupid. But what you do...
You haven't even given yourself flexibility, though. You've got 2 5.5 midfielders and nowhere to run to if one of them doesn't do well. Like, what if Sangare doesn't get DEFCONs every week? How are you going to get rid of him?
Nowhere to run to. All I have to do is sell Semenyo. I've got the most expensive second midfielder.
And what if he starts well and you don't want to sell him?
Well, then I'll just carry a 2-point player because I'll have the best 2 captains. This is what I've been saying earlier in the show. If I've got a captain that can hit 16 points every week...
This team is not as good as you think it is. I hate to be the one to break it to you. I don't want to burst your bubble. But I foresee, using my mind vision, problems down the line for you.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. But what I would say is, like, this is
wait
not...
to see mine.
This is not the final thing. Like, the structure is almost there. I'm not happy with this team. I will say that. I'm not happy with this team.
You won't start with this team.
It'll be very similar. Like, Semenyo might be Gabriel. And if I get Gabriel in instead of Semenyo, then I'd probably have a different... I want Tarkowski, I do like. Maybe I'd get some Gabriel and Tarkowski in there. But Mitchell, great games for 11, 12 game weeks. It's fine. It's cover. You don't need to have the best 11 players. You just
I actually think for your strategy, Tarkowski's perfect. Because you can just leave him for 16, 17 weeks, and that's one player locked that you never have to...
Yeah,
unless they sign a right back, which you said earlier.
I don't like Calafiori, but I think it's the pressure, the social pressure to, like, if I had no Arsenal defender in there, like, if I had Tarkowski and instead of Mitchell, I had, some random Coventry defender who may or may not play, everyone would say, "Ooh, isn't that clever? Looks good." If I had Neko Williams and Rodon instead of Nuremovic and Aina, everyone would be like, "Ooh, I can see the logic."
Yeah.
But, like, this is a very solid team. Apart from Calafiori, I don't like him. I was rushed on the defence. What happened was I've convinced myself on Semenyo, and because of that, it's ripped up everything. And I'm not sure about Semenyo. I think I just want Garner. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, he's injured." Yeah, so what? But he's not going to be injured in game week 4, is he? I can just stick him on the bench and play Mitchell.
So you can have Garner, Gross, and Sangare. Bloody hell!
I wouldn't mind Lefay in there instead of Zoboslai.
to go with your vanilla ice cream and...
No, this is part of the problem. Like, I have thought, because I did have Lefay in there at one point as well, and I just think maybe I do need a bit more in midfield. But, like, everyone's chasing these early points. Like, I'm just chasing the captains.
I can't wait for your stream. I can't wait for your stream where you're like, "Yeah, it's an early wild card. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I've been pushed into it."
Well, and the only reason I early wild card
teams 10k.
Well, that's not going to happen, is it? What I would say is that the only reason I early wildcarded last time is because I came on the bloody black box and you spent 2 hours telling me I needed to, and then at like 5 in the morning I finalised it and my entire season went down the pan. So,
It's blind versus the blind on this
I'm
stream.
not blind. My eyes are open. My eyes have never been more open. The power of Soulio infuses me, and this is not...
Other models are available.
I'm not saying this is... The other models are available, but they're not as good.
You flipped because I've turned on your team, haven't you? You're getting me cancelled all over the show.
No, they all love it. The scout know what to do. Line my pockets if you want me to shut up about Soulio. But, like, the optimal team over 19 game weeks with all 4 trips, 1,169 points. Although there's 1,176 points. This team, 1,152 points. We're talking a point a game week. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to stick with this team. I'm not saying it's a good one, but it's a starting point. Sangare, solid DEFCON guy. Gross, set pieces, nailed in the team. Zoboslai, the same. Semenyo, them fixtures. 200 points. 200 points. He's played...
No pens, no free kicks.
73 matches out of 76 in the last 2 seasons, 3,200 minutes a season. Fernandes, beautiful. Fernandes, of course, probably going to get more points this season because, like, last season he just stopped shooting because he wanted to get some pass record, assist record. He doesn't care about that now. He's got that.
We're not debating Fernandes as the problem with his team. He's fine.
No, but
it's all the other bloody
is the
jokers.
problem. No, he is the problem because if I didn't have Fernandes, then, you know, Sangare could be Umbumo. But great, but then that's a transfer in 3 weeks. You know, Gross could be Cole Palmer, but then great, but he's crap for 2 weeks and then he's going to be injured. You know, I've got these solid guys. You know, you're looking at, where's Calvert-Lewin? Well, I don't need him.
I didn't say where's Calvert-Lewin.
The problem with this team is not the midfield. The problem with this team is the defence because it doesn't have Tarkowski, it doesn't have Van Dijk. I want Van Dijk as well.
Do you know the problem with this team?
Can't believe I'm going to be lectured by you.
The problem with
about
this team,
FPL teams.
The problem with this team, Andrew, is it needs a wild card.
Well, you might think that. I might think that. I'm not happy with the defence, but it's good enough. Like, you can't have the best player in every position. You have to make sacrifices. And I am sacrificing a bit of quality in these squad players who may get 5 points or they may get 2 points to ensure I have the best captain in 15 out of the 17 game weeks until my wild card. Now, you can say that's a bad strategy. You can say it won't work. But I'm telling you, it's the most important aspect of the game.
Your captain is... I'm not debating the captain. The captain's fine.
Who would you sell? Who would you sell?
I think you need to... I don't think you can go into it with... I think Semenyo's luxury, personally. I think you should be moving Semenyo down and you should be getting rid of either Sangare or Gross.
Well, Semenyo could go to Sarr. Like, if I get Sarr, don't tell me not to get Sangare. If I don't get Sangare, it'll be Garner.
I know. I just.
I know you're going to try and talk. You're going to try and talk me out of gorgeous Garner.
I would never try and talk you out of gorgeous Garner. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't be if you're trying to do the late wild card. I don't think you can go with 2-5-5s.
Why not?
Because I think you're gonna, if one of them doesn't start performing, you're gonna find it too hard to get rid. You're gonna be taking
it's a good
hits.
job I'll have 5. It's a good job I'll have 5
to be
free
fair,
transfers
you love taking
after
a minus
3-week break.
Oh yeah, well you also
6.
you love taking -12s as well. Why are you setting up a team taking another -12?
I don't want.
Don't want.
You're goading me. Look, it's all right when
Of course
people.
I am.
When people have the cognitive dissonance broken, it's scary for them. When people can't fully understand the long-term picture, it's scary. They try and talk people out of it. People hate progress. And I am here with the progress. Look, I'm not telling you it's a great team. I'm not. I'm telling you it's a solid team with great captains. And I think that is more important in the longer term. But I'm also saying I'm going to have 5 free transfers after a 3-week international break.
You are not going to have...
6.
That is nonsense. You're not going to have... You are the most incapable person I've ever met at keeping transfers. You were taking -12s like they were free transfers last season. How the hell are you going to go 4 weeks without making a transfer? You're never going to do it. Oh, you had no chance.
Yeah, well, but there's no chance. You know, that's the old nightmare. That's 1.3
Maybe
million.
if you fall into
nightmare.
a coma for 4 weeks and then wake up
This is Andy
game
Soulio
week 6.
now. They call me Andy Soulio. Look, maybe I will make a transfer and I'll only have 4 free transfers. Or maybe I'll only have 4 free transfers in game week 6.
Yeah,
so
of course you will.
You know,
right.
maybe I'll get rid of Joao Pedro, but like Joao Pedro, he's the best captaincy option available.
Yeah, he's
to
your
me.
biggest problem in this team.
No, he isn't, because at game week 4, he's the best captain that I can get to.
That was sarcasm.
Like, what's wrong with Sangare? Right, we'll go through it. What's wrong with Kinski?
Kinski's good. I don't like the Leno pairing.
Right, next. What's wrong with Miroremovic?
Well, we don't know he's going to be as good as before, but I do like him as a pick.
Right, so what's wrong with Aina?
He
as part of a rotation.
He's not a very good pick, I don't think.
I agree.
He's got no end products. Like, I think there's better options at 4-5, probably.
Who?
Shaw. You've only got one United.
Luke Shaw, 1 goal and 1 assist in 38 games.
Sorry, how many goals has Aina got?
Oh, he did quite well a couple of seasons ago, didn't he?
Not that well. 2? And they were from like 40 yards?
Well, it's all right. I only need him for a couple of games. I only need him for game week 1 and game week 5 against Coventry at home. Do you think that's a bad pick, Coventry at home for a 4.5 million defender?
See, now you're being facetious.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you, this is a rotation.
Okay.
So game week 1, I'll have Aina in there.
Yep.
And then
0 goal Aina.
Yeah, but I don't need every player to get big points. I've got the best captains. This is what I'm saying. You know,
that's the tagline for this.
Game week 2, Truffett at home to Everton.
Yeah.
Game week 4, Truffett at home to Brentford. Mitchell's there throughout. Yeah. Game week 4. Week 4, Mitchell at home to Ipswich. Game week 3, Mitchell is playing Fulham.
He's got a goal in him.
I don't care if he's got a goal or not. He's £4.5 million and he's part of the rotation. I don't need these players to go big. Everyone's getting high about maybe getting 3 points from a defender, 4 points from a defender. Well, I'm thinking I've got a couple of players who've got the fixtures where they might get 6 points and they might not. And, you know, as far as punts go, as far as gambles go, going for 6 points or 2 points instead of 3 or 4, it doesn't seem that dramatic. It doesn't seem, you know, I could get James Hill in. Oh, Hill's good. He's got Defcons. Well, yeah, but he doesn't have the same fixtures. You know, I've got Truffett in there. Truffett's an exciting pick. The problem with that defence is Calafiori, but the way Mitchell, Aina, Muraremovic and Truffett rotate is lovely until game week 6. And at game week 6, I can reassess after the international break with the transfers, maybe downgrade Semenyo, maybe downgrade Zoboszlai, maybe sell Joao Pedro because I won't need him for captaincy anymore, get Calvert-Lewin in or Tieno Barry or Willa Sula or Wissa, whichever one of them emerges, you know. And then I've got the extra funds. Maybe I get rid of Bruno. Maybe Bruno Fernandes breaks his leg. You just don't know. But if I've got the best captains, you know...
Don't look at me like that. Do you want to see my team? And then you can have because you're going to hate this. For all of my talk. This is my team. I'm bench boosting game week 1 at the moment, which is exciting.
ADHD FPL, that's what this is.
I've got
Verbruggen. So what you've gone on about my midfield, you've got Gross and Lefay. So the difference is you've got Lefay over Sangare.
No.
Whoop-de-doo.
No, wait. No, there's more to it than that. I've got Calafiori, Hume and Shaw. I know you love Hume. He's in there. Fernandes, Mbumo, Lefay, Szoboszlai, Gross, Haaland and Pedro. And then a bench of Kingsky, Jesus, 09, who I've been assured by the Sunderland correspondent is going to start game week 1. Otherwise, this whole bench boost is completely tits up. And Canvo. The difference is, Andrew, is that I have a attacker that I can bring in because I've got Jesus, Lefay, Gross, who can all be rotated round.
I would rather have Tarkovsky to bring in than Igor Jesus. I would have Tarkovsky over any sub-attacker.
But then I can't bench boost.
Who cares about bench boost? Why are you so desperate to bench boost now?
Because I don't want a wild card and have to think about it.
Bench boost in game week 15 like me.
Yeah, but then you've got to plan. You've got to plan a wild card around it. You've got to have I can wild card into one playing goalkeeper, and I can wild card with one, dead spot at 4-5.
Yeah, but that's what
you're gonna have to pick. You're gonna have to play 3 up top, and you're gonna have to have 2 playing goalkeepers.
Yeah, easy. You see, all I have to do is save me transfers. Then in game week 15, I bring in players. I've already got the 2 keepers. You know, so all I have to do is make 2 transfers, and then I've got the team. You know, I can make 5 transfers in game week 15, bench boost, free hit in game week 16 when all the top teams play each other and all the promoted teams play mid-table teams that nobody will have, and then in game week 17 I'll wildcard, and then I can just dead spot my bench. But when all the top teams go on these long fixture runs of great fixtures, I'll be able to pick and choose exactly who I want from them over Christmas. It's a little Christmas present to myself.
Oh, lovely.
That'll keep me going until game week 32 wildcard just fine. Whereas you lot, I'll all be scrambling. Oh, do I take a hit? Do I take 2 hits? Oh, I can't believe I've got only 11 players and 2 of them have got injured and 1 of them's been benched and I've got no bench. And what is going on? Who could have foreseen this happening in a World Cup year over Christmas when 9 clubs are in Europe? If only I had me wild card.
Do you know what? This has been genuinely one of my favourite streams. It's a great stream because it's been so serious in terms of looking at all these points, and then it's just descended into an absolute farce over the last 10, 15 minutes. It hasn't descended into
farce. The reason it's a farce is because I'm out here laying the smackdown and delivering the knowledge that the community needs, the wake-up call. People are talking about wildcarding in game week 4 in a World Cup year with 9 clubs in Europe.
You are going to be
exhausted
in your shed, camera on. Guys, it's game week 6. I'm 2 million in the world. I'm going to have to wildcard.
I would never be that calm in my shed.
No, that's true, actually. I won't even try to impersonate you. Go off, chucking a chair across the room.
The other thing is, like, even if my plan doesn't work, even if I do wildcard early, at least I've got that insurance. You know, it gets to game week 9, 3 players get red cards and 4 players get injured. I've got the insurance of the wild card. People that'll have the same team as me, because you'll all be wildcarding into a similar team to mine anyway. Maybe a few differences. You know, I'm not against Elliot Anderson over Semenyo, and that's really what opens it up.
So you're going to have Anderson, Garner.
Oh, what an idiot! As if he's got a 180-point midfielder for 6.5 million. What a fool!
I just love the idea of you watching these football games. Like, that's a DEFCON, that's a DEFCON, that's a DEFCON. Have you got any attacking players, Andrew? No, no.
I don't need attacking players. I've got the best captains, and you'll all be selling Bruno Fernandes, and that'll do me.
Amazing.
While you all have. Milivojevic Palmer in midfield, sat there holding hands with Caicedo, hoping for penalties.
I haven't got him. The model's got him.
You will. You'll have him in game week 4.
Yeah, well, so will you. Fernandes to Palmer, that's the move.
I will not have gold Palmer.
I've got good news for you. I did a poll. Who's got the better team? Model optimal team, 24%. As 35%. Andrew FPL Nightmare, 41%.
I don't know if I have got the better team, but I've got the better plan. I've got the better strategy, and that's just the facts. I'm not one to be confident. Like, people see me as a clown, but I am not a clown. I have got a plan, and I've got a strategy, and it's adaptable. You might be happy to play the fool, but I'm here to show something this season.
Oh, I can't wait for this. I'm gonna clip that. Amazing. Right, let's end this madness. I want to give a quick shout out to official SKLW. You ever done SKLW? Do you know what this is?
No.
So this is a community tournament that's run for years. It's a team tournament. You basically join a club, and essentially they add your points together, and you compete against other clubs, and there's different trophies and things like available. It's all done through head-to-head. There's promotion, there's relegation, there's league tables. The guys do an absolutely amazing job. There are still places available if you want to play. Just go to @official SKLW and chat to the host of it. And yeah, if you want to get more involved in the community, if you want to meet some new people, join some group chats, and have some FPL conversation, things like that, it is an awesome tournament to get involved in. I've done it for, I can't even remember how many years I've been a part of it. So yeah, head over to there and enjoy. I've also promised Ed that I will mention Fest as well. I'm guessing you're not going to Fest this year, next week?
No, I'm not.
That's a shame. Maybe one.
It is. I'm tempted to go down to London the week after to watch AEW All In. Like, I don't know why they haven't planned it the same weekend. It's really frustrating because I could have done both, but
yeah, they always do the opening.
To be honest, I don't think I'll do either. I'll probably just sit at home, by myself,
play some games, play Expedition 33 again. Yeah,
I don't have time to play games twice nowadays. It's ridiculous.
Yells is playing Last of Us at the moment. I'm very pleased.
I want Greyhead to start another Traitors game.
Oh, me too. I miss it. This is the biggest hiatus I've had from it in about 6 months. It's horrible. Anyway, Fest is happening on Friday and Saturday next week. It's going to be. It's always great, if you want to come to London, you want to meet some people, you want to watch the games, but if you want to watch the first game, the Arsenal Coventry game, or you want to watch the 3 PMs and things, do either of those. There's tickets available. Just head to ffest.com.co.uk. Type in FFFest on Google, you'll find it. And come along. I'll be there on the Friday. Yells will be there on the Friday. Hope to see loads of you there. Just grab me. We'll have a chat about things. I'm doing a team reveal on stage again, so I'll get probably booed off stage like I normally do when I go to these things. That's always fun. But yeah, it should be really good. So come check that out if you haven't already. Do I have anything else to plug? I feel like I've plugged everything already. Oh, I'll plug the Patreon one more time. Come join the BlackBox Patreon. Our website's amazing. Kieran's an absolute legend. We've got trophies and prizes for Goal Scorer Challenge, for Survivor, for the Predictions League, and for the main FPL League as well. And we've got loads of tools, expected points, transfer lab to check your transfers as well. So you can come and do that too. Just head to patreon.com/FPL BlackBox. And Andy, we've done 2 hours, 10 minutes. I think it's probably time to let you go. Thank you so much. As always, genuinely one of my favourite streams I think I've ever done. As it always is.
It's definitely perked me up a bit.
Good.
Like I say, it's not been a good week, but it's been a nice couple of hours, and it's good. And now once this ends, I'm gonna go and watch Above Average with Let's Talk FPL, because I love them boys as well. So
they got
you should all do the same.
Yeah, very nice.
They have.
Head over there.
What you want to do is get a 4-way stream with me, Andy North, and Andy from Let's Talk FPL on it.
All the Andys.
The 3 Andys and obviously ours. I
feel a bit
4 A's.
I feel a bit outnumbered if I do.
Well,
that.
Just get Andy North to put it together. We don't need you.
He should stop putting his weight. He's been in bloody Egypt for 10 days. It's been ridiculous. Are they live now? Above Average.
Yeah, they start at 8:30. So
awesome.
Thank you everyone for choosing me over the 500,000 man. I really appreciate it.
Head over to Above Average. Tell them hi from Nightmare and myself. I'll be back next week with Andy for the final Black Box of the season. I'll be doing a team reveal, I think, this weekend as well for the channel and things like that. So check that out. But yeah. Mr. Nightmare, I hope you can wildcard in game week 17 as planned. But hopefully we both just have a good start to the season and we finish strongly, because I think we need it.
I don't care if I have a good start. I just want a solid start, because my time will come later on when everybody else is panicking and I am the calm in the storm.
I'm going to remind you of that when I see your first vlog from the shed.
Clip it.
Good night, everyone.